Let's go. Let's go. We are so unbelievably back. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to, it's hard to believe, but it's season 3 of the Pigskin Pregame. I'm your host, Dr. Pigskin. The doctor is in, and it is a beautiful, glorious day for some football, man. I am so unbelievably excited. You know, we had a nice little warm-up Thursday and then Friday, right? We got a couple of games, but this is where the fun really starts. You've got all the other teams, well, except for two, but you've got pretty much all the other teams coming in today, right? Just so many questions that I want answered, so many guys that I can't wait to watch play, so many big games, so important games. We even got a big one here this Sunday night, but yeah, I'm pumped. I'm excited. New and improved, slightly revamped Pigskin Pregame show. Made a few tweaks, just trying to make things look a little bit better, but similar idea. Some of you guys that have been watching this channel for a while, you guys know the vibes. You know what's going down here. This is the most meat and potatoes football show that I've got out here right now, right? We're going to be hitting all the games, going to be giving some fantasy advice, playing a couple games, and even at the end, we got a little do something, a little challenge. So I'm excited to get to that. But hope you guys are all doing well. I appreciate you guys tuning in here at it's 10:01 my time. It could be all sorts of different times wherever you guys are, but appreciate you guys waking up with me. As always, I'm still waking up a little bit myself. I've got my chocolate milk and coffee, which, as it was pointed out to me last year by Caden, some might just call a mocha, but, you know, we ball. So I've got the Fairlife protein and then the Kirkland cold brew mixed up in there. And yeah, I mean, that's what this show is I drink a lot of caffeine, I get hyped up, and I talk about football for about 2 hours. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. How are we doing here today? Yeah, my creation. You're absolutely right. I invented mocha. You know, you get it, right? You know, has my mom been ordering mochas from Caribou longer than I've been alive? Yep, but it was actually me that invented this. So the local sports team mug is back. I got the football hat on right now. It's a very Quirk Chungus combo. You know what I'm saying? But I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I should patent it, but you guys know the drill. If you're in here, feel free to say hello in chat. We're going to jump into our first segment here. Let's play a little game called Immaculate Grid. Let's just warm up our brains here, and then we'll get into the big stuff. Welcome, Steph. Good to have you in here, Steph. Asking, who do I got, Hawks or Niners? Well, I tell you what, we're going to do a real deep dive into that game when we get into the Sunday slate, which might be in 30 minutes or so. So we'll save that for there, but let's just say there is one team that I actually feel pretty good about winning today. That is one of the bigger games out there. I'm actually pretty excited for that one in the 4 o'clock window. I have a team that there's a team I feel really good about in that matchup, and we'll get to that in a sec. But first, we're going to play a little Immaculate Grid, and of course, as always, I've got to fix this. You guys are going to see yourselves for a sec. Hopefully everything runs pretty smoothly. I know I've been tweaking some stuff in OBS and whatnot, but you know, sometimes you just have to do that. But I actually caught a pretty bad audio issue. You would have heard me duplicate a couple of times like you have in times past where I'm just there's 3 of me talking. So we were able to fix that last second. So thank goodness. But we got a nice little grid here this morning. All teams, which I really appreciate. So we've got Seahawks, Pats, Seahawks, Bills, Seahawks, Ravens. Then we've got Giants, Pats, Giants, Bills, Giants, Ravens, and Lions, Pats, Lions, Bills, Lions, Ravens. Of course, if you guys want to play along in chat, you can always give me a few suggestions, pull it up yourself. But we try and shoot for pretty low scores here. We're gonna try and get some sicko polls, but I can't guarantee that we're going to do amazing. I did my first grid of the year on Thursday, and I ended up missing one, which was kind of tough. But Steph will be there. Let's go. Let's go. Well, in a little bit, I'll give you the full answer of who I'm liking in the Hawks or Niners. But I do appreciate how we've got big, important, and exciting games in all parts of the window today, all parts of the schedule. Deion Branch, ooh, for Seahawks, Pats, that's not bad. Deion Branch would be a good one. Oh, I might lean him, honestly. I'm trying to think of who else. Josh Gordon. I feel like Josh Gordon would be answered more than Deion Branch. We'll do Deion Branch. I don't know that I've ever mentioned him on this channel before. Super Bowl MVP, Deion Branch. 35%. That surprises me a little bit. I thought he'd be like maybe in the teens or something. 35 kind of surprises me. I figured that would be Josh Gordon at 35%. Um, Bills Seahawks. Oh my gosh, did Jerry Hughes ever play for the Seahawks? I don't think he did. Let's just see if we can get some ones that like come to me right away. Like, oh my gosh, what's his name? Jelani Tavai. Lions legend right there. 0.5%. Jelani Tavai. Oh my gosh. Wait, did LeGarrette Blount play for the Lions too? Yeah, Blount could have been a good one for Pat's Lions. I think he did play for the Lions for a little bit, but Jelani Tavai is crazy. um, Giants Patriots. Giants Patriots. I want to say Martellus Bennett, right? Didn't Martellus Bennett play for the Giants for a little bit? Let's go. 6% Martellus Bennett. We'll take that. Tough start with Deion Branch, but we've rebounded pretty nicely here with Bennett and Tavai. Let's see what else we can get here. We'll do Justin Forsett for Seahawks Ravens, 5% Justin Forsett. CJ Spiller, Seahawks Bills. I'm not going to lie, I actually didn't know that CJ Spiller played for the Seahawks. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. 1%. Let's go. Dude, Joao, I remember you absolutely killing it on grids last year. I feel like you're always lobbing up like a good pull every stream for these grids, so I appreciate that. Let's go. Maybe was there another combo that worked for LeGarrette Blount too? Because I know he's been around a little bit. Obviously, like there's the Pats. I think it was Pats Lions. I'd be interested to see what percent LeGarrette Blount was for Pats Lions, because I honestly low-key forgot he was on the Lions for a little bit too. Let's see what else we got here. Bills Giants. Bills Giants. I don't know why I immediately think of a wide receiver when I see this team combo, and I don't know why. Giants Ravens. No. I almost said Steve Smith. That would have been crazy. Neither Steve Smith would have worked for that. Tyrod Taylor. I feel like that's pretty common though. You could also get Tyrod Taylor for Bills Giants. I feel like he's going to be a pretty common answer on this grid. Ravens Lions. Did LeGarrette Blount ever play for the Ravens? I don't know. I don't think so. I know it was like Steelers, Bucks, Pats, Eagles, Lions, maybe one other team, but I don't think he ever snuck on the Ravens or anything. Man, we kind of hit a wall here. See, I was worried about the rust and maybe shaking off a little bit of rust for my game streams on Thursday. Really what it is the grids. I have to shake off some rust for the grids. I'm not going to lie. I have not been playing grids like that really since the season ended. So we got to get back on our game here. This is not a bad warm up though. Man, this is killing me. I mean, I'm struggling to think of like an obvious one for Bills Lions right now. Oh my gosh, Reggie Bush, right? We'll take it. It'll be a high percentage, but we'll just take it. We're just going to have to start taking some of these. Man. Jeez Louise. Oh my gosh, Will Hill, right? Will Hill for Giants Ravens has to be. Let's go. 0.8% Will Hill. Remember the Monday night game, Ravens Browns? I think it was a tie game, and the Browns were lining up for a game-winning field goal, and it got blocked, and Will Hill ran it back for the score. And there was the iconic Mike Tirico call of, Will Hill, will score. That was pretty sick. Will Hill was a good player for a minute. He had some issues off the field and just, I don't know, that poor guy just couldn't seem to get things straight in his personal life a little bit, but he was a good player for a minute. Only 3 years in the league, but he could play out at safety. All right, we've got two more. I'm pretty happy with Will Hill and Jelani Tavai. I'm a little surprised Tavai is that low. I figured he'd be like around like 5% or something, but we'll see if we can get a few more good ones here. Giants Bills is killing me. I'm not going to lie. Welcome, Wolf. Let's go. Welcome, Wolf. Yeah, Wolf remembers. That's tough. Screw Will Hill. Yeah. Ah, man. Okay. The brain is starting to wake up a little bit more. You know, I can feel the gears turning a little bit. Just an unholy amount of caffeine in here. You know the Kirkland cold brew that you can get at Costco in a can? It has like 225 milligrams of caffeine, which really surprised me. It's like, that's not too much less than the bangs that I used to slam back in college. The birthday cake bang. All right. Let's see. Yo, welcome Kira Cat. Let's go. Davis Webb, Broncos legend, but for New York Giants. Oh, wait. So Davis Webb, would that be Giants Bills? It is the first Pigskin game day. Haloti Nada. Yo, that's right. That's right. Oh my gosh. I would have not come up with that. 31%. That is shocking me. That is shocking. And we'll do Davis Webb here. Wait, I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared. Oh, Linval would work too. Yeah. We're going to do Linval because I'm just a little scared of Davis Webb. Nice. 0.7 for Linval. That is surprising. Wow. We'll take that though. All right. We've done better, but we've done worse. Rarity score of 127. We'll live with that, but shout out for chat for some of the polls here. Linval was nice. That one honestly kind of saved me. Let's go. Oh, Danny Amendola. Yeah. Nate Solder being the most common. Wow. Well, look, it's like we got 2 that were the most common. 3, actually, but we'll live with that. I'm shocked that Deion Branch was the most common. Although I guess Michael Bennett would be the other one, but... All right. First grid of the year. We'll live with that. That's not bad, honestly. But now, it's time for you guys to bang my line. It's time for the fantasy hotline. Gonna go through, gonna set my fantasy lineups, gonna give a little rundown of what's going down in the Dr. Pigskin Fantasy League, all that fun stuff. As we get going throughout the season, we'll be checking in on the picks competition too, which, by the way, if you guys are interested, we still have the picks competition open. I'll try and get a link posted for that in chat. But if you guys want to do a Dr. Pigskin Pick'em challenge, open to anyone. We did it last year, and it was a lot of fun doing it again this year. I've already gotten one wrong, unfortunately, which happened on Friday, a game we might talk about in a little bit. But I will get that posted in chat. But while I'm setting my fantasy lineups, go ahead and send over your fantasy questions, start 'em, sit 'em, stuff like that. Maybe trade reviews, all that fun stuff. Caden saying go over teams. Oh, I like that. How did I not think of that? Yeah, we'll go over the teams in the Dr. Pigskin League too. I know some of you guys watching might be in there. We'll hit the teams first, and then we'll set lineups. But while we're doing that, this is the perfect opportunity for you guys to send in any sort of fantasy questions you have. I will give a little bit of a disclaimer. Last year, there seemed to be this tendency of I would tell people like, I don't know, man, I wouldn't start Raheem Mostert. I'm a little scared. Or no, it was Devon Achane. I was like, I'm a little scared of Achane. I think Mostert's going to get the goal line carries, and then Achane scores like 2 touchdowns or goes off or something like that. So sometimes my advice is a little bit of a kiss of death. So, but if you need another perspective, that's what I'm here for, right? I am Dr. Pigskin after all. And Dr. Pigskin is well known to never, ever, ever have any bad takes ever. So, all right. Let's go over teams here. Let's pull up the Dr. Pigskin Fantasy League. It's a bit of a funky league this year. We've got 11 people in there, so we do have a bye week that we're contending with, but we're going to make it work. We're going to make it work. All right, let's switch over here. Here we go. My team is the Doc. I guess we'll just start with me. I don't know. I don't know if we have to. But I'm playing against Laywell this week, who's a pretty familiar face in here. A lot of you guys might have seen him in chat. Here's my team, right? 11 teams, standard PPR, nothing too crazy. I've got, I picked out of the 2 spot. I picked 2nd overall. Lamar Jackson, Bijan Robinson, K9, Ladd, Devontae Adams, Colston Loveland, Travis Hunter, of course, the Giants defense, of course, Chris Boswell, and then on my bench, I've got Matthew Golden, Josh Downs, of course, Bashal Tootin, Braylon Allen, Ollie Gordon, and Terrence Ferguson. I feel pretty good about my team, honestly. I don't think I'm going to make any swaps. I am tempted to start Josh Downs, I will say. I do like Josh Downs a lot against the Dolphins today. I really like Josh Downs with Daniel Jones as his quarterback, which might sound a little weird, but think about how good Wan'Dale Robinson was in fantasy last year, and I think Downs is like 3 times the player Wan'Dale is. I am tempted to slide Downs in for Travis Hunter, but also, I don't know. that Carolina secondary kind of looks like barbecue chicken outside of JC Horn. And I feel like JC is going to be on BTJ a lot. I feel like they're going to make the point to get Travis the ball early and often. So I think I am going to stick with Travis Hunter. But I really, really like Josh Downs this year. We have a good question from Joao asking if he should start Calvin Ridley or Matthew Golden. I might be tempted to say Golden, honestly. I think Ridley is obviously a little bit more proven right now, a little bit of a better player, and I do like Cam Ward a decent amount. I will say, though, that Broncos defense, man, that is a tough matchup right there. You have to imagine he's going to be seeing a lot of Surtain, and even when Surtain's not on him, it's going to be Riley Moss or Jade Barron. Like, there's really no easy matchup there. The Broncos defense is going to make life miserable for Cam Ward, I have to imagine. And I don't hate Matthew Golden in his debut going up against what should be a pretty man-heavy secondary in the Lions. One of the few things I did get right last year, Spirit Champ is saying, do the opposite of what I say. Fair. Yeah, you might come out on top if you do that, honestly. But one of the things I did get right last year, I remember someone, I think it was Parker, asked me if he should like start Christian Watson or something. They were playing against the Lions, and I said, Lions do play a lot of man. Terrion Arnold is like, okay, but you can kind of beat him, right? If you're the X receiver going against the Lions, you're probably going to have 1 or 2 shot plays a game. That's going to be Matthew Golden. I wouldn't be surprised if Golden ended up with like a 50-yard catch today. And like, even if he didn't get targeted a crazy amount, we're looking at like 3 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown. So it is a bit of a swing. And that is fair that you're like scared of starting rookies. I personally might lean Golden, which of course Ridley's probably going to go stupid now, but Pearchamp is going to ask Jacoby Myers or Keon Coleman in his home league with half-point PPR. I'm going to say Myers, honestly. No Christian Gonzalez for the Patriots today. I do like Coleman a good amount this year, but I'm going to lean Jacoby Myers, I think. Oh, I'm sorry, Big Brain. Yeah, that's tough. I know that we had to change like when we drafted like 3 or 4 times. We ended up like combining a couple different leagues. It was a wild process, but I tell you what, man, we're going to be doing this again next year. And depending on like how this community is looking a year from now, right? I've got a few different plans to make sure that like a lot of people can play in the fantasy league next year. So I'm excited for that. So next year, hold me to it as well. We'll try and make stuff work next year. I've got some pretty exciting stuff planned for fantasy leagues down the road. That's what I'll say. But I'll tackle a few more questions here, and then we'll finally get to Laywell's team. It's like this dude goes over his own team, and then he's just stalling. Oh, man. Big Brain drafted Worthy and Tyler Bass. That's so tough. Yeah, Worthy getting injured. Do we know his status yet? I know he was going to get tests done yesterday. I don't think I ever saw what the results were, but I wonder how much time he's actually going to miss. But that is pretty brutal right there. Darren Waller. All right. Here's Laywell's team. I don't remember what spot Laywell picked from. I love the quarterback, though. We got Jordan Love, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Jamar Chase. Oh, yeah, he picked first. That's right. Jamar Chase, Jerry Jeudy, Trey McBride, Tetaroa McMillan, Seahawks D, Kickin' Little, RJ Harvey, Rashi Rice, Bill Krosky Merritt, Tank Bigsby, Keon Coleman, and Dalton Kincaid. That's a pretty solid team right there. I can't lie. I might be going up against it this week, especially if Chase goes off. Love might go off. Some nice running backs. Love the tight ends. That's a pretty good team. To tie into what I was saying earlier to Steph, I don't hate the Seahawks defense this week. That's what I'll say. But poor Donnie's on a bye. We'll hit his team. Poor Donnie. But he's got Brock Purdy, J.K. Dobbins, Nick Chubb, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Tillman, Sam Laporta, Ramondre Stevenson. Oh, he had CD on his bench. No, he benched CD. That's so tough. That is so tough. I mean, I guess he's on his bye. It doesn't really matter. But CD, Josh Jacobs, Chase Brown, Terry McLaurin, Garrett Wilson, and Tony Pollard. He's resting his starters on his bye. I like it. I was like, there's no way. Like, I feel like he had a better draft than this, but that explains it. Yeah, he went CD at 4, which I don't hate. CD was kind of cooking a little bit. Pair champ rips second Bowers with Worthy and AJ Brown. That's so tough, man. Poor Gothberg. Yeah, he did have AJ Brown, didn't he? Big old nothing from AJ Brown. Like what, one catch and then Worthy's out after 3 plays? That is tough. All right. We've got Alina and Gabe here. This is a nice little matchup. Looks like Alina's projected to win right now. Big game from Jalen Hurts for Alina. Alina's got Hurts, Ashton Genty, David Montgomery, JMO, Roma Dunze, Brock Bowers, Olave, Lions D, Jake Bates, Joe Burrow, Tyrone Tracy, Scadaboo, Xavier Legette, Dallas Goddard, and Rashad White. I love the Lions love. Oh yeah, the Sea Lions, baby. Let's go. Let's go. And then Gabe's got Baker Mayfield, James Cook, Chuba Hubbard, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London, TJ Hawkinson, Devontae Smith, Cardinals D, Kaimi Fairbairn, Jalen Warren, Austin Eckler, Michael Pittman, Alec Iomenor, almost got that wrong, Jaden Higgins, and Dante Thornton. I do like the Dante Thornton pick a decent amount. Game solved versus Gothberg. They hit the second Bauer, which is a crazy name, by the way. I like how it's just Brock Bowers' face as his picture, too. But we've got Patrick Mahomes, Alvin Kamara, Omarion Hampton, JJ, BTJ, Evan Ingram, DJ. We got the J's at receiver. Love it. Harrison Butker, and the Ravens D. And then on the bench, Jacoby Myers, Diggs, Caleb Johnson, Justin Herbert, who, oh baby, what a game that he had. Dylan Sampson, Cade Otton, and then Chris Godwin on IR. And then Gothberg's got Daniels, Gibbs, James Conner, AJ Brown, woof. Xavier Worthy, woof, oh. David Njoku, Zay Flowers, Bucks D, Cameron Dicker, Pacheco, Khalil Shakir, Keenan Allen, who honestly looked kind of nice out there. Jerome Ford, Jaden Reed, and Third and Juwan. Couple more matchups to hit here. We've got Harry Penix versus Sad Falcons noise. This is Parker and Henry, who you guys might have seen in chat before. All right. Parker's got Kyler Murray, Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Swift, Nico Collins, JSN, Kittle, Calvin Ridley, Texans D, Tyler Bass, Aaron Jones, Caleb Williams, Deebo Samuel, Jake Ferguson, Marvin Mims, and Ray Davis. Henry's got Josh, Saquon, Devon Achane, Tyreek Hill, George Pickens, Mark Andrews, Marvin Harrison, Vikings D, let's go, Tyler Loop, Emeka Egbuka, Jordan Addison, Tucker Kraft, Javonte Williams, CJ Stroud, Brian Robinson Jr., and then Joe Mixon on his IR. And last but not least, two of the people who are in chat here right now, we've got Pear Champ and Caden, the Titletown Terrorists. Oh, man. Some of the names in this league. Pear Champ has got Bo Nix, Derrick Henry, Travion Henderson, Puka Nacua, T. Higgins, Travis Kelce, Cortland Sutton, Steelers D, Chase McLaughlin, Ricky Pearsall, Zach Charbonnet, Dak Prescott, Travis Etienne, Jaden Blue, and Hunter Henry. And Caden has got Drake May, Bucky Irving, Kyron Williams, Malik Neighbors, DK Metcalf, Tyler Warren, Mike Evans, Packers D, Jake Elliott, Jordan Mason, which is just crazy. This man stole him from right underneath my nose. Hey, I gotta respect it though. I think he's going to go crazy this year. I couldn't believe it. I was in shambles during the draft, dude. Man, I don't remember what round he took Mason in, but it was like literally like right before I was going to take him. Yeah, 7th round. Oh. Especially with like 2 established backs up front too, you know. Probably a little better than having Jordan Mason as a starter, which you might see on a few of my teams. But Cooper Kupp, Justin Fields, another nice pick. Trey Benson, Rashid Shaheed, and Zach Ertz. There you go. That's the Dr. Pigskin Fantasy League right there. I've got my lineup set. What are you guys feeling? Who do you think's got some good teams? What teams really stand out to you guys in chat this year? I feel like we've got some pretty good teams. I feel like the competition is going to be pretty fierce. I think we all had pretty good showings at the draft. I don't know. I think it's going to be a good league this year, but hey, maybe I'm a little biased. Maybe I'm a little delusional. Maybe I'm a slight narcissist, but I kind of like my team this year. I kind of like my team. Oh, I could have done this too. Oh, well. All right. Lineup is set there. Let's check my other ESPN league here real quick. bring back the chain gang, which they should, by the way. Caden took him over Jones. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you, dude. I think that pick is going to age nicely. That's what I'll say. I think that pick is going to age nicely. Steph is saying that Keenan Allen looks like he lost 40 pounds in the Chargers jersey. Yeah. Yeah, no, he was a little hefty last year. He looks a little more slim, and he was moving a little more slim. He looked pretty good out there, honestly. Wolf is saying Brock Bowers might have a decline in hair, but he won't have a decline in his fantasy production. He's a beast, man. He's the bald beast. What else is there to say? I do wonder, though, see, I don't think he's going to be like a worse player or like have a sophomore slump or anything necessarily. I could see a slight decline in production, though, just based off the fact that like I would be a little surprised if he got quite as many targets this year, just because the Raiders do seem pretty set on running the ball a lot. And so much of their offense last year was literally just like, F it, get it to Bowers in the flat, and he'll do something cool, you know? They might not have to do that quite as much this year because there were games where literally like that's all they did last year, you know? But he's still a very good player. I think you could still expect 1,000 yards from him. All right. This is a 14-team league, and I want to say I drafted 7th or 8th overall in this one. Very deep league. Just checking my lineup here. Again, part of me wants to start Downs, but I'm going to keep Travis Hunter in over him. I like my wide receivers a lot. I don't think I'm going to make any changes, honestly. I do have Jordan Mason starting, though, which is crazy. No, that's fair. I mean, Jones is going to definitely start the season as the starter, right? And, like, this is a lot of projection from me saying, like, oh, yeah, Jordan Mason is going to be the top back. Like there is certainly a world where he's not. And I might be a little stupid for, like, ignoring the running back position enough where, like, he's my starter. But you know what? We're going to make it work. It's a slight 0 running back strat that I did in this draft. And, you know, I mean, hey, this guy might be in line for a few more carries now. And we've got some intriguing backups. That's what I'll say. But not going to make any changes in this one, too. We'll switch over to Sleeper. Only 4 leagues this year. I've been in 5 in the past, but I'm only in 4 this year. So I don't mind that, honestly. It's just a little bit less for me to, like, juggle. But here's a Dynasty League, year 2 of this. I like my team a lot. It's another deep league, 12 teams, 2 quarterbacks. So the quarterback situation is a little hairy. You guys might have remembered my chronicles of when Love went down and then Anthony Richardson was struggling, me just like running out of quarterbacks. We're trying to avoid that this year. We're hoarding quarterbacks. So I still got Richardson. I picked up Jacoby Brissett because you never know. You just never know. Maybe Kyler goes down. You never know. Picked up Jimmy Garoppolo. You never know. Maybe Stafford goes down. You never know. And then I've got Rattler too. So we're just kind of hoarding quarterbacks here. Another team where I really like my receivers, but by golly, I've got Jordan Mason starting. I mean, it's... yeah. But I did make a mistake. I put in Jake Ferguson as my tight ends last minute. And he almost caught a touchdown, man. I was really feeling the seam ball touchdown. You just didn't quite get it. But I originally had Bateman in as a flex. And then I had Loveland as my tight end. But now I've got Loveland as the flex. But whatever. I was thinking about putting Bateman in for Loveland. But I think I'll just stick with this. And then one final one. This is another Dynasty League I'm in. I've been in this one for a while. I've got a trade offer. Nah. I don't know. People are always trying to fleece me in this league. I had an obscene trade offer for Nico Collins a few weeks ago. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. And I didn't know the person who sent it to me, but I'm like, that's a little insulting. Like, come on. Can I find it? Maybe not. Whatever. I'm not trying to like put some dude I don't know on blast, but I know he wasn't like actually trying to swindle me, but it was like, come on, dude. I'm not just gonna give away Nico Collins, but another team, just, yeah, pretty good. I don't think I'll make any changes here, but that was the Fantasy Hotline. Fun stuff. Got to meet the Dr. Pigskin Fantasy League a little bit. I know, I do have Torrey Horton. Oh, yeah. I love me some Torrey Horton. You know, funnily enough, the Madden franchise that Caden and I played an unholy amount this offseason was more or less my introduction to Torrey Horton. The draft class that we used didn't have a ton of real rookies, which was kind of weird, but Torrey Horton was one of them. And Caden drafted him and put him at running back, and he went crazy. And then I realized, like, wait, Torrey Horton's an actual person, and people are, like, kind of hyping him up. So I watched him a little bit, and I was like, he can kind of play out there, you know? Like, he kind of showed out in that Colorado game last year, and then he went to the Seahawks, which I think is a great spot for him. So I was like, I'll stash him. He's a good little stash to have in Dynasty. But Pearchamp is asking, is CMC playing today? I'm going to be honest, I don't know. I'm going to look that up real quick. If I had to guess, they haven't made an official decision yet, right? I mean, this is the 49ers we're talking about. It looks like he's likely to play versus the Seahawks. That's what NFL.com is saying. I'm a little nervous, I'm not going to lie, right? I mean, again, we're just talking about a guy who recently turned 29, dealt with Achilles tendonitis last year, and honestly kind of looked a little slow out there when he was playing. And again, like I said on Thursday, I'm not a doctor beyond just, being Dr. Pigskin, but it can be easy to draw a connection between calf issues and Achilles issues, and that scares me a little bit, I will say. But it looks like he is going to play. I'm going to be very interested to see how he looks in that game. I'm not saying it's impossible, like there's no way he can come back and be a good player. He totally could. I'll be honest, I'm a little skeptical, and we'll get into that a little bit more here in a few moments, because now we are going to the meat and potatoes of this show, one of my favorite parts of any stream that I do. Here's where it gets really fun. Welcome to the Sunday slate. We're going to go through every single game today, break it down, preview it, make a prediction, and just see what I get right and see what I get horribly, horribly wrong. Week 1 is definitely my favorite week to do this, just because there are so many unanswered questions, right? This is the first time we've been seeing a lot of these teams since like January, So like, obviously there are some big games, like the Sunday night game is big. The Monday night game is big. We saw Chiefs and Chargers play on Friday, and the defending champs played on Thursday. But for people like us, the football sickos, right? I'm excited to see how Josh Downs does this year. I'm excited for Jaguars Panthers. I'm excited for Giants Commanders. I'm excited for Texans Rams. Although, I mean, that's a pretty big game, right? There's something to be excited about with literally every single one of these games. I feel like there's a reason that you could talk yourself into tuning into every single one of these games. And obviously, like, it's not physically possible to watch every single one, right? And it's a darn shame. But week 1, there's just an overload of stimulation and information coming in, and there's just so much to learn. And I'm just so excited, man. This is probably one of my favorite days of the entire year right here. The first NFL Sunday. Let's go. Let's go. We're going to take a big swig, and then we're going to get started with our first game, which is a pretty fun one. This is going to be the one that's on the big screen. That's what I'll say. This is maybe the most exciting game of the 1 o'clock window. Maybe the most important game of the 1 o'clock window. And it's the one that I'm going to have up on the big screen. Let's go. All right. At 1 o'clock on Fox, first game we're breaking down. Geez. Sorry. Dramatic reveal ruined. I have to do it for this too. We've got Bucks versus Falcons. This is a great game right here. Oh man, big divisional matchup. 2 of the division favorites, I would say. You've got Michael Penix entering the season as the full-time starter after riding the pine for all but 3 games last year. Buccaneers navigating some turnover in the coaching staff, some turnover in the defense. Bucks a little hobbled going into this game too. I'm going to pull up the injury report right now, because that is certainly something worth noting here, right? Vita Vea is questionable with a foot. Benjamin Morrison, their rookie corner out of Notre Dame, a guy I really like, he's out. Tristan Wirfs, for my money, the best tackle in the NFL, he's out. Christian Izien, key safety for them, he's out. And Chris Godwin, their wide receiver too, he's out. Lot of big injuries here for the Buccaneers. They are coming into this game a little hobbled, and this is a team that swept them last season. We saw a couple of monster games from the Falcons passing game when they had Kirk Cousins in there, right? We saw Drake London put up a monster performance. Man, this game, if the Falcons win, man, This could go a long ways. This could make the division really interesting. Pear Champ with a good question. Do I think that it matters that Penix didn't play any preseason games? I'm not going to lie. I get wanting to protect your guys. Like, I totally understand that. I think it's a little strange, personally. I'm not the biggest fan, right? I mean, this is a big year for Michael Penix. It really is. And I don't want to be too much of a Penix doomer because I know I've like talked down on him a little bit this offseason and I'm not like the highest on him, but I can at least see the appeal. Even though I'm probably lower on him than consensus, I can see like outcomes where he turns out to be a good player because there is some stuff to work with, right? But I just think, man, like, are we sure that we're ready? Like, all right, we're just going to toss this guy in. Like, he doesn't need any live reps whatsoever, right? I get that he's an experienced quarterback, and that was part of the appeal, is that he's 25 and he had all this experience in college. But as I've kind of been annoying about this offseason, he's had issues with his accuracy. He's had issues with his footwork. And so I think it's a little naive to just say, oh, he's going to be fine. Like, let's just throw him out there. Like, he doesn't need to play in the preseason at all. I would have liked to see him get at least a few drives in the preseason, honestly. He's going in cold now with a banged up offensive line. Falcons have injuries too, right? Banged up offensive line against Todd Bowles, who is known to send the house and heat guys up and blitz. I'll be real, like that, yeah, that does worry me a little bit. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'm going to be honest with you. Even with all of Tampa's injuries, I think I am still going to pick the Bucs here. I get their defense might be a little bit of a concern, especially no Benjamin Morrison. That is a bummer. I was really looking forward to watching Benjamin Morrison play this year. I mean, he'll play, but like, you know, I would have liked him to be out there week 1. So that is a bit of a bummer, right? But I don't know. I think their defense could be a little bit better this year, even with some of the injuries that they're dealing with right now. I really do think Hassan Reddick is like a sneaky, intriguing signing, right? He is getting a little bit older. I'm not necessarily saying he's going to go out there and have the season that he did with the Eagles a few years ago. But last year was kind of a weird year for him, kind of a lost year. You know, he's about to turn 31, actually. That kind of surprises me. But he's a pretty good pass rusher still. You have to imagine maybe in a new environment, Todd Bowles can get him right. And I think more than anything else last year, what really plagued the Buccaneers was they just really struggled to get pressure rushing for, right? They had to rely on the blitz maybe a little bit too much, and that just left their corners out on islands, one-on-one. They run a lot of man coverage. Maybe with Hassan Reddick in there, maybe the pass rush is just a little bit better. Maybe they can get after the quarterback a little bit more. And of course, as I'd hit earlier during the prediction stream a couple of days ago, right? Some injuries for the Falcons on their offensive line. Lost their center in free agency, and now their right tackle's out for the season, Caleb McGarry. That is a little concerning. This is not exactly the strongest pass protection unit out there. I do think there might be a few bumps in the road week 1 for this offense, just adjusting a little bit. And the Buccaneers have a pretty good answer for this Falcons running game in Vita Vea. If you recall my Buccaneers-Falcons stream from last year when they played on Thursday night, right? I was bemoaning the amount of outside zone that the Falcons were running. That's all they did, just constant runs to the perimeter. And as great as Bijan is, it became pretty easy for the Bucs to just kind of sit on that a little bit, right? But I will say, in the Falcons' defense, it's maybe a little understandable why they favored running to the outside so much when you've got a delightfully massive human being wearing number 50 with hair flowing out of the back of his helmet, clogging up the middle on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defensive line, right? You want to run away from Vita Vea, so that checks out. That makes sense. I don't know. I think the Buccaneers have a little bit better of an answer on defense this year. I don't think that like Penix is going to go out there and shred him for 500 yards like Kirk did. I could see Drake London having a big game. I think they're going to feed him early and often. I really, really like Drake London this year. And even with like Godwin injured and Wirfs injured, the Bucs receivers are still really good. The line is still really good. This is one of those teams that I was talking about where I'm worried about the Falcons defense getting pushed around in the run game a little bit, right? It's just a lighter defensive front. It's just a lighter defense in general. And even without Wirfs, It's a very good Bucks running game and a very good offensive line. So I could see Tampa rushing for like, I don't know, 130 yards as a team in this game. I think Igbuka's ready to go. He'll be ready to step in for Godwin. Yes, obviously not having him hurts, but Evans and Igbuka, they'll be able to make do for a little bit, especially against a secondary that's all right, right? You know, I feel like the game plan against the Falcons is pretty straightforward. Okay, where's Jesse Bates and where's AJ Terrell? Okay, cool. We're going to throw elsewhere. We're going to go pick on Clark Phillips. We're going to pick on Mike Hughes. So kind of like what we saw with Adoree Jackson on Thursday, right? You can kind of do that against the Falcons a little bit too. So I'm going to take the Bucks in this one. Big road divisional win for Tampa Bay. I'll say Bucks win 27-23. It'll be a pretty good game, but a nice 4-point win for Tampa Bay here. I'm going with the Bucks in this one. What are you guys feeling? I know some of you guys in the Pick'em Challenge, what did you guys pick for this game? Did you guys go Tampa or did you go Atlanta here? And speaking of the Pick'em Challenge, I will send the link in here real quick because I said I was going to do that and then I forgot to do that. I'll drop the link if you guys want to join the Dr. Pigskin Pick'em group. But yeah, it looks like we got 10 people in there right now. That's pretty good. But you guys feeling Bucks or Falcons for this one? This is a good one though. This is a great 1:00 game. Very important one. There's the link right there. But man, if Atlanta does win again, then there'll be some interesting conversations, right? Like, oh, why can't we beat this team? Why does this team have our number? It'll be very interesting if Atlanta's able to pull that one out. But good first game. Good game to start us off with. Let's jump into the next one here. Another divisional game. We've got a few divisional games to start us off on week one. We saw this one on week one a few years ago, actually, and it was a bit of a stunning upset. Here you go, Wolf. Get ready. It's time to talk about... did it do it again? Okay. Well, we're just going to have to switch it again. I'm going to have to tweak this for next week. Man, I thought I was cooking. It's time to talk about... Wait. That's why. Sorry, hold on. Aura ruined. I opened it with a different tab, that's why. It's time to talk about the Cleveland Browns versus the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a game that we saw week one a few years ago, and it was the Browns with a stunning, shocking beatdown of the upstart Bengals. I'm going to be real honest with you, man. I'd be pretty surprised if that happened again, if you know what I'm saying, right? I do think the Browns could be like feisty, and the Browns do seem to have Joe Burrow and the Bengals number a little bit for some reason. Like have you noticed that the Browns always seem to get like a weird win against the Bengals, or like they got one against the Ravens last year? Having Myles Garrett will do that, I guess. And I do think like Myles Garrett versus his offensive line is enough of a mismatch on its own where like maybe things could get interesting. But also, again, you want to talk about a corner room where it's just, okay, where's their good guy? We're not throwing there. No disrespect, but you could just play a little game of where's Denzel Ward? Okay, cool. We're not throwing there, right? And even like if it's Chase versus Denzel Ward's a great player, but Chase could get him, you know. And Cleveland's defensive backfield is even a little bit more thin because Martin Emerson got hurt, right? They've got Greg Newsome out there right now. Who's not bad, but like Greg Newsome versus T. Higgins. Come on, we know who's winning that matchup, right? Cam Mitchell in the slot. I don't know. It could be a solid defensive line for the Browns this year, and I think that's like the one area they can really win is in the trenches. Their defensive line versus the Bengals' offensive line, but Burrow's just so good under pressure. Burrow's really good at creating when the play breaks down. He's good at getting the ball out quick. He's got two excellent wide receivers that can win quickly. It's a passing game that's well built to mitigate a lot of defensive pressure. I mean, unless you're like just absolutely killing them and you get like 8 sacks, like they'll hit some big plays on you. And as great as the Browns defense has been under Jim Schwartz, if you stand up to the initial wave, you can pick your shots downfield, and few offenses, if any, are better at, taking their shots downfield than the Bengals. It'll be a nice warm-up game for their defense. I know Wolf was saying that Joe Flacco is going to be thrown for 500 yards. We'll see. I mean, I would have honestly just much rather seen them trot out one of the kids, one of the rookies, and be like, you know what, here you go. Like, let's see what one of these young guys has got, right? But Flacco's the trusted guy. I don't know. There's not much else to say, honestly. This is one of the bigger spreads if you're into that kind of thing. 5.5 point favorites on the road for the Bengals. So usually, if you're looking at point spreads, like home field advantage is worth like 1.5 to 2 points. So since he's a big favorite in this one, this is one of the biggest lines of the week. But we have seen AFC North madness before. We have seen a little bit of weirdness, but I struggle to see, unless like the Bengals come out and lay an egg again, I guess, right? Like this is a team that has been known to like have some slow starts past few years. They dropped a game to the Patriots week 1 last year. Like they switched things up. They had their guys play in preseason this year to kind of tie back into the Penix conversation, which I like, right? Just giving them a few more live reps. So I guess we'll see. We'll see week 1 firsthand, like how much that actually mattered, giving them some run in the preseason if they can try and mitigate those slow starts, because that really did kill them last year. I mean, man, if they don't drop that game to the Patriots, they're in the playoffs, and we're looking at this team very differently. But since he still might have a bit of an uphill battle to get back to where they were a few years ago, right? I mean, this defense is just, it's interesting. But a new defensive coordinator, so we'll see how Al Golden does too. So even though, again, this might not be one of the sexiest matchups out there, there's still plenty to watch out for in this one. So I'll have my eye on this game, but I'm going to go Cincy. You know what? I will say that they lock in and that they don't have a slow start for once. I'll say Cincy hangs 31 on them. I'll say Bengals 31, Browns 20. How about that? Bengals 31, Browns 20. That's kind of a big win, but we'll go with that. So we're picking the Bengals. Thank you, Wolf. I appreciate that, man. Let's go. Thanks for the $5 super chat saying if the Browns win, I got to get a Joe Flacco jersey. All right. Handshake agreement right here. I have been due to get a new jersey for a while. I will shake your hand on that. Lock it in, folks. Go ahead, clip this, get your receipts in or whatever. I have a handshake agreement with Wolf. If the Browns win, if they beat the Cincinnati Bengals, I will find and buy a Joe Flacco jersey. I'll do it. Flacco hoop anywhere. I mean, who knows? We saw him hoop a little bit a few years ago, so you got yourself a deal. There. I don't know that I'll take up every single wager ever, but it's week 1. I'm hopped up on some caffeine. I'm sure I could find a reasonably priced Joe Flacco jersey on like Mercari or eBay or something, so you got yourself a deal, Wolf. I love these little jersey swaps. Kate and I actually had one last year for Vikings-Packers, who won that game? I'm trying to remember. I feel like one team swept the other in the Vikings-Packers series last year, and it was like the first time that had happened in a while. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe chat can help me out with that. Caden, do you remember who won that game last year? Crazy. Yo, welcome back, Mono. Good to have you back in here. Happy Football Sunday. Let's go. Look at it. It's nice to see some football faces back in here, Mono's out of Atlanta. He wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons earn a pick in the top 10 this season, which the Rams do own. Yeah, I feel like the Falcons have such a wide range of outcomes this year. I could see them winning the division if Penix hits and they hit on their edge rushers. They also do really have the floor of being like a bottom 10 team, honestly. And yeah, they do not have their own first round pick. Les Snead might have cooked, folks. Les Snead, he might have cooked a little bit, striking a trade with the Falcons. That's what I'll say. That was pretty crazy. But thanks again for the super chat, Wolf. We got Mile Marker too. Welcome, Mile Marker. We're going to get to the One Pride collective here in a little bit. Low-key, that might honestly be the biggest game of the week, even bigger than Ravens-Bills, just because it's a divisional game and, certain stuff has happened with the Packers recently. And, we're checking in on the Lions after their brain drain. That probably is the biggest game of the week, honestly. I'm stoked for that one, man. Oh, baby. We'll probably hit that one near the end just because, we're going in chronological order. But appreciate you tuning in as always. Oh, yeah. You know it. Kira is the only one with the Pick'em in the Pick'em group with a perfect record right now. Hey, props to you, man. You did what I did not, and you picked the Chargers to win. And I was rightfully getting dunked on a little bit in Discord for my Chargers takes. But we're trying to hold the line right now. As Nico Harrison said, Time will tell if I'm right. Oh boy. But Ruh-roh Raggy. It's 1 week. It's 1 week. It's like 5% of the season, but you never know. You never know. What's up, Ted? Good to have you back in here, Ted. You know what's crazy? And I promise I'm not creepy. I don't even think this is creepy, but I remember, Ted, you were in here for the first ever Pigskin Pregame stream a few years ago, back in the 2023 season, back when I was still in Athens, Georgia, in my little arbor apartment. Man, that was like one of my first streams ever. I was running it on the laptop. I had the laptop cam and everything. It's good to have you back in here, man. This is a real full circle moment right here. One of the true OGs. How you doing, Ted? Who you like this week? Who are some of your picks this week? I know you had some nice picks past few times you've been in here. Who you like this week, Ted? All right, let's get into the next game here. And I think I got it right this time. We'll see if we can get a seamless transition. Next game. We've got Dolphins versus Colts. Another one of those games where maybe not like the most crazy matchup in the world, but there's a lot of intrigue, right? There's a lot of interesting stuff. Obviously, for personal reasons, just agendas and fantasy and just liking the guy, I want to see Josh Downs get like 15 catches today. I don't know if he's going to get 15, but Daniel Jones comes in, begins his new era, Indiana Jones, right? We had the whole quarterback competition and everything, and we're going to see how the Daniel Jones offense looks. And so that's what's going to be interesting to watch on the Colts side, right? And I have to think it's going to look pretty similar to what we saw with Gardner Minshew back in 2023. It is going to be a lot of RPOs, maybe a few designed quarterback runs, maybe even a few more than Minshew, right? Because Jones can move a little bit, but this is going to be a very horizontal offense, not very vertical, I would say. It's going to be a lot of screens, a lot of stuff into the flat, a lot of slants, a lot of RPOs. Like, it truly would not shock me if Daniel Jones' average depth of target was like 4.5 yards in this game, right? This is how the Colts want to live. This is how Shane Steichen wants to live. And Daniel Jones, while he's not a great quarterback by any means, I can at least see the vision for, okay, he's going to run the offense the way that Steichen wants it run, whatever. I've made my opinion very clear on like who I think the Colts quarterback should be, but whatever. Josh Downs might get 10 catches. Tyler Warren might go off, as Caden is saying, right? It's going to be a lot of short stuff. I feel like Alec Pierce might get phased out of the offense a little bit just because he's such a vertical threat. I don't think we'll see too many shots downfield. And I think we'll see a healthy amount of Jonathan Taylor in this one. I've gone back and forth on who I'm picking in this game, honestly. And I might switch up my pick. Right now, in the Pick'em Challenge, I picked the Colts. Colts are home favorites. Looks like ESPN, like the ESPN users, only 22% have picked the Colts. I lean Colts right now because I do worry about this Dolphins secondary, and I really do worry about the Dolphins offensive line versus a pretty sneaky good Colts defensive line. I think that could cause some problems. And I don't know. I'm not a big believer in either of these teams or regimes, to be honest, but I'm pretty out on the Dolphins. You know, I think I've made that pretty clear. However, I will say, because I feel like, okay, Colts receivers versus Dolphins secondary, that could be a big matchup that swings things in favor of the Colts. I would say Colts defensive line versus Dolphins offensive line, that could also swing things in the Colts' way a little bit. The one thing that does give me pause, though, right? I mean, I think it's fair to say the Dolphins have an advantage at quarterback. The Dolphins do have some more high-end talent on their offense. And I will say the Dolphins defensive line versus the Colts offensive line, that could also swing things in the Dolphins' way a little bit, right? Dolphins defensive line, honestly, quietly, a pretty solid unit. I really, really like Zach Sealer. He's like a borderline all-pro level player. He's a fantastic player. Him, Bradley Chubb, Chop Robinson. They got Matthew Judon in there too. That's right. I'm checking to see Jalen Phillips is healthy, right? This is quietly a pretty strong defensive front. And the rookie Kenneth Grant. Like they've got some dudes up front. They really do. This is a team that I think could be pretty good against the run and getting after the quarterback this year. And one thing that I think is really lost in the shuffle when looking at the Colts, because all the focus has been on the quarterback competition, right? The offensive line still has some nice players on it. They did take a lot of hits, though, man. That interior is a little more scary now, right? Tanner Bortolini is their new center, coming in for Ryan Kelly. If I'm not mistaken, and I might be wrong, but I believe this is Tanner Bortolini's first career start, and he's going up against like Zach Sealer and Kenneth Grant. Oh, that does scare me a little bit. I don't love that necessarily, right? And then Matt Goncalves, I think I got that right. He's their new right guard replacing Will Fries. Last year, I would have said this Colts line is really good 1 through 5. Now, there's two guys that are very inexperienced that I'm kind of worried about up the middle, and they're blocking a pretty talented Dolphins front. So that could cause some problems, and I think that's only going to feed into the Colts passing short. But I do worry about the run game just a little bit more now, right? I mean, I like Jonathan Taylor a lot. I could see a world where they struggle to get Taylor going on the ground early, though. And it's like halftime, and he's got like an inefficient 39 yards on like however many carries. And then their hand is forced, and they have to pass the ball a little bit. So I think that's fair to be worried about. This is a sneaky, interesting game. And like, even schematically, like Mike McDaniel versus Lou Anarumo, that's a fun play caller matchup right there. Maybe it doesn't quite have the same zing and pop as it did a few years ago, but like, those are two of the brighter minds at their respective sides of the ball, right? It is a sneaky, interesting game. I'm going to stick with the Colts, though. It's in Indianapolis. I do think the Colts maybe have a slightly better roster. And as much as I can fret about the Colts offensive line, the Dolphins line I still think is worse, man. Like, I could see DeForest Buckner taking this game over. Grover Stewart could cause some problems. Maybe this is a big Laiatu Latu breakout game, right? He showed a little bit last year as a rookie, got a little bit of run. Yeah, so I feel like we've gotten through some of the more, I won't say boring games, but things are going to start heating up here soon. Packers game is being saved for the end. You're absolutely right. We're going in chronological order here. I'm scrolling down. The Packers game is going to be third to last, it looks like. And we might hit the Vikings-Bears game too. Well, yeah, it will be third to last. We're going to go live for Ravens-Bills tonight, so I'll save my preview for then. So we won't hit Ravens-Bills this morning. We'll save that for later tonight before the game. But I'm looking right now. It starts at 4:25. This is just the way it's laid out on ESPN. But we'll hit that, Texans-Rams, and then we'll wrap up with Vikings-Bears, because I will not be going live for Vikings-Bears. I'm actually going to be watching that game with some friends, so I'm pretty excited for that. Let's go Vikings. Skol, baby. But 3 games in, we're making good time. I always try and shoot for about 2 hours with these streams, right? Give myself a little bit of time to get ready for the 1 o'clock kickoffs. I feel like we're doing pretty well right now. And again, this is the longest part right here. But we will get to your Packers soon enough. And I've got a lot to say about that game. I'm excited for that one. All right. Next game. Switch back here and get it ready. This one I'm actually like quite excited for, honestly. This game is like a battle of, I think, 2 potential playoff teams. This is a bit of a hipster bowl right here. This is one where, I don't know, if you've been tapped into this channel, you might see what's coming. This is not the obvious Dr. Pigskin Bowl. We'll get to that one soon too. But I would say this is the secondary Dr. Pigskin Bowl right here. I'm talking about Patriots versus the Raiders. Oh, man. This could be a really good game, honestly. And there's so many plot lines and storylines to follow, right? 2 new head coaches. You've got Pete Carroll, who's set to make NFL history as the oldest NFL head coach ever, which is just wild, right? I mean, he just does not move like it or act like it. Mike Vrabel coming home to the Patriots, taking over as their head coach. You've got a bit of a Josh McDaniels revenge angle, right? McDaniels is the OC for the Pats now, was the head coach with the Raiders for a little bit. And, things didn't necessarily go very well there. You've got Geno Smith making his Vegas debut, Ashton Genty making his debut, Will Campbell's on the other side making his debut, Drake May year 2. 2 teams that I think have a playoff ceiling. And I picked the Patriots to go to the playoffs this year. I flirted with the Raiders too. These are two teams that I think are good candidates to really shoot up from being like, picking in the top 6 to potentially being a 7 seed this year. This is a really exciting matchup. There are some injuries to note, as I was saying earlier. No Christian Gonzalez for the Patriots. That is kind of a bummer. That could be a big loss right there. This Patriots secondary has been kind of shuffling through things a little bit, right? Especially at safety. Kyle Duggar's kind of on the way out. They did bring in Carlton Davis, and I was really excited for Davis and Gonzalez as the boundary corners, especially in such a man-heavy defense, right? You could argue Christian Gonzalez is the best man corner in the NFL. Out with a hamstring. That's a big deal. Geno Smith is a quarterback that likes to take shots downfield, even though the Raiders don't necessarily have crazy guys on the outside, right? I wish that they maybe would have brought in another receiver. They brought in old man Amari Cooper, and then he just ended up retiring, which was crazy, right? I mean, Jacoby Myers is still on the team for what it's worth. Jacoby Myers' revenge game, too. He's not like a burner or anything, and he'll probably work from the slot a lot. I mean, we're talking about Dante Thornton, right? Like, it could be a Dante Thornton game. We could see a lot of Jack Besh out there. Obviously, Bowers is going to get his, but I say all this to say that there might be a few shots to be had downfield now against a Patriots defense that's a little compromised without Christian Gonzalez. One that didn't have a crazy pass rush last year, and I do like some of the moves that they made, but they cut Braden Swinson, which was a surprise cut, rookie out of LSU. And it's just, overall, there's a lot of gelling going on this defense, right? It could take a few weeks for them to fully get up to speed. I think there's plenty of talent, but could take a few weeks. This might sound crazy. I'm picking the Raiders here. Like, I really think that Gonzalez injury has swayed me a little bit. I see this one being kind of a toss-up. I think if Gonzalez was healthy, I would have leaned Patriots here. I think they're just a little bit more of a complete team, but I could see the running game getting going for the Raiders. And man, I could totally see Geno hitting a big 50-yard pass off of play action, a deep shot downfield or something like that. That Patriots offensive line is still kind of a work in progress too, and Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz is a fantastic pair of edge rushers, right? We know that those guys are good. We know that they can get after the quarterback. I'm going to lean Raiders here. I guess I did do a score prediction for the previous game, but I'll say Raiders winning 23-20 in this one. I'm pretty excited for this one though. I probably would have gone Patriots had Gonzalez been healthy, but I'll go Raiders here. And, Pete's going to have them ready. Pete's going to get them right. Welcome, Parker. Good to have you in here, Parker. Asking, do I think Travis Hunter could be the first player to win offensive and defensive player of the year? Oh, baby, not even rookie of the year. We're going straight to player of the year. I love it. That is an all-time spicy take right there. I think if it were to happen, it probably wouldn't be this year, right? And the Jaguars... ESPN sources have said that the Jaguars have more of a vision of how they're going to use Travis Hunter, at least in week 1, right? It sounds like he's not necessarily going to be playing both ways full time. He will play both ways today, but it's not going to be 60 snaps on offense, 60 snaps on defense. They were saying it's going to be more of he's a full-time wide receiver, and then he's a situational corner, which is kind of interesting. And I saw Brett Coleman tweet where it's he's going to come in on third down and they're going to play cover 2 and Travis Hunter is going to just sit in the flat and try and be a ball hawk, It's interesting. So I'm I can't wait to get to that Jaguars-Panthers game. There's so much to unpack with that. We'll see for sure, I guess. We'll get a clearer answer of how they plan on using him after this week, but you would think it would be the other way around typically, right? You would think it would be, full-time defender and then situational receiver, but I could almost see the vision with this guy is just too good of a receiver. He needs to be out there with BTJ all the time because that would be just a nasty passing offense. I'm going to say no because that's such a lame and easy answer, right? Here's what I'll say though. I would struggle to see him winning both awards. I do think his ceiling is he could be a Pro Bowler at both positions, depending on how much he ramps up at corner. Could I see him in like year 4 if he's playing like 40 snaps on offense, 40 snaps on defense? Could I see him being a Pro Bowler at both positions? This might be crazy. Yeah, I honestly think he could. But to be like all pro at both or to win both awards, I mean, he would have to be like a ridiculous wide receiver. Like he would have to put up like a triple crown type of season. And then on top of that, he would also have to put together like a Pat Surtain type of season on defense. I mean, that is just a ridiculous bar, but I could see him being like borderline top 10 at both, honestly. I mean, I think the world of him, dude. I think he's an unbelievable player, and I just can't wait to watch him in the NFL this year. But that's a good question, though. That is a good question. It was worth thinking about, you know. The fact that we even entertained it should speak volumes about how good this dude can be. Wolf says the Raiders won't be interesting until we see Sean Payton versus Pete and Pete versus Harbaugh. Dude, I'm so fired up for Pete versus Harbaugh. I know I said when the schedule came out, I was like, let's go. I'm going live for that game, even though it's the late Monday night game. We'll see, because that's next week. That's week 2, and it starts at 10 o'clock Eastern. The more I've been thinking about it, it's like, I don't know, dude. I don't know that I could go live for a game that starts at 10 Eastern, but we'll see. But I am unreasonably giddy about that game, I will say. But I think the Raiders will be interesting this year. I've been in on the Raiders a little bit. It is a shame, like Christian Wilkins, like that just didn't work out. And if they trade Jacoby Myers, which I don't think they will at this point because the season is starting, but like if they traded him, I'd have been like, oh man, I don't know about this receiver room, you know. And there's still a few questions on the offensive line. But next game, Cardinals versus Saints. Another 5.5 point spread right here. Cardinals big favorites. We'll get into this one in a sec. We got a few more things to say in chat here first. Ted's also riding with the Raiders 20-10. Okay, a little bit of a low-scoring game. I can get down with that, right? I will say forecast does call for rain and a little bit of wind. It could get a little sloppy and muddy out there, and I think that's another thing that could play into the Raiders' favor too. I trust the Raiders' ground game maybe a little bit more than the Patriots right now. Henderson looks great, but Genty is the truth, and I like Chip Kelly a lot as their OC. I could see a sloppy, muddy game playing into the Raiders a little bit more too. Caden asking, who is my depoy pick and why is it Micah Parsons all of a sudden? Well, I'll say this, and then we'll get into Cardinals Saints, which is like a Catholic matchup, by the way. Cardinals versus Saints. That's crazy. I cannot possibly be the first person to make that joke, but I just picked up on that now. No, I mean, I'll be real with you, man. Parsons was my depoy pick before he even went to the Packers, but I honestly feel even better about it now. I know he did have his whole epidural, and he's dealing with some back thing, but he plans to play. I just think Green Bay is such a perfect situation for him, right? I feel like Halfley is a guy that's truly going to take advantage of how versatile Parsons is. He's going to move him all over the line of scrimmage. I mean, I'll save the rest of this, but let's just say third down we could see some truly disgusting, not safe for work stuff from Jeff Halfley when it's third down and it's an obvious passing situation. We might see some insane blitz packages. That's what I'll say. And we'll get into more of that in a little bit when we get to Packers Lions. But good luck, Graham Glasgow. That's what I'll say. Oh my gosh. But first we got to talk about Cardinals versus Saints. I won't waste too much time here. I mean, I feel like Cardinals is a pretty safe pick here, right? Cardinals is one of those teams that I like, and I really appreciate, I believe it was Janga Banga Langa. I might have got your name wrong, but I saw you left a comment on one of my live streams, the prediction live stream, and you were also kind of hyping up the Cardinals a little bit. Cardinals are a team that I'm really excited to watch this year, right? I think the big thing is, can MHJ take that next step on offense? Can Kyler stay healthy? And then how much better is this defense going to be with all the new names that they brought in? And respectfully, I know we've got a few Saints fans in here. I know Dark Elixir is a big Saints fan. No disrespect. I will say, if you're the Cardinals, a bit of a younger team who's trying to take that next step, right? And you kind of feel like there's maybe a little bit of pressure on you this year, especially on defense. Respectfully, the Saints ain't a bad tune-up game, right? I mean, Spencer Rattler's going to be out there. I like Spencer Rattler a decent amount. He's on my dynasty team for a reason, but at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I will say, For what it's worth, one thing that I really want to see with Rattler is the team around Rattler is significantly better than the Saints team they were trotting out with him last year. When Rattler came into play for the Saints last season, it was near the end of the year. They were just incredibly banged up, injuries all over the place, right? Half their offensive line was out. There was no Olave, right? I think Camaro was even banged up a little bit. Outside of Trevor Penning, the Saints offense is at full strength now. And if you squint, you can see like they got a good center in Eric McCoy, and I like Fuaga and Kelvin Banks, their first round pick could be good. And Olave is pretty good. Like there's at least some pieces on offense. See, here's the thing, right? And you're right, Pear Champ, like Saints more like Aints, let's go, Brent. Appreciate it. Welcome to the stream. Rattler MVP, hashtag the agenda. But I will say, like, the Saints aren't great. But again, this isn't like a disaster roster, I don't know. See, I kind of flip-flop with the Saints a little bit. I'm just looking at their depth chart right now. This isn't exactly the worst team in the world. But overall, I mean, the quarterback's a big question mark. The coaching staff is unproven. They are going to have Dylan Raduns out there at left guard, which horns up, but good golly, that could be maybe a slight problem with Penning out, And then the defense is just old, and they've lost some guys and bled a lot of talent. Like, the defense is not that great, honestly. I do like this Cardinals offense a decent amount. Steph, you make a great point. He's saying he doesn't see it with the Cards, asking who their wide receiver 2 is. I'm going to be lame, and I'm going to say, their wide receiver 2 is Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Trey McBride is a fantastic player. He was the Cardinals' leading receiver last year, right? He's a guy that could go for 100 catches and 1,000 yards in any given season. Fantastic tight end. I'm tempted to call him the second best tight end in the NFL. I mean, yeah, he went for 1,146 yards last year. He doesn't have quite the eye-popping stats because he's had terrible all-time poor luck in the red zone, right? Only 2 touchdowns last year, but an unbelievable receiver. I would say it's MHJ. He's there too, honestly. Him and McBride, that's a great 1-2 punch, especially for a run-heavy offense, right? It's not like they're going out there and throwing the ball 45 times a game. I love the offensive line. James Conner's still a good back. Kyler Murray opens up so much in the run game. Drew Petzing's a great offensive coordinator. I think this is one of those offenses where even though, after MHJ, it's Michael Wilson, who's a fine role player, but nothing crazy, and Zay Jones, no, they don't have a crazy receiver room, but their run game is so good that I think they can make it work. And I am honestly kind of high on this Cardinals defense this year. I really like the moves that they made. So I've said this so much, and this will probably be the last time that I say this as projection before we actually see it. But I have to imagine with more talent coming in now, right? We are going to see the Cardinals defense be just a little bit more normal this year. We're going to see a lot fewer penny fronts, which, 5 defensive linemen, 1 linebacker, and then 5 defensive backs. A lot fewer disguises and blitzes, and we'll still see some of that, obviously. But they might be able to ease up on all the crazy stuff just because they've got some more guys out there now, like Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson. Walter Nolan's not playing this week, I guess, but him. And then Will Johnson in the secondary. So I am pretty fired up to see this Cardinals defense out there. I think they could be a sneaky top 10 unit this year. I really do. I love the coaching staff, and I like a lot of the guys they brought in. So they're a fringe playoff team for me, man. They really are. I could see the Cardinals being a real thorn in the side of a lot of teams this year. Even though I don't think the Saints are going to be a disaster, I am going to go with the Cardinals in this one. I'll say Cardinals 28, Saints 17. Pretty comfortable win for the Cardinals here. That's what I'll say. Move on to the next game here now. We're starting to cruise a little bit. Next one is interesting. Man, I feel bad for the Jets fans in this one. That's what I'll say. We'll get to this game here in a sec. But man, you could tell the NFL is just setting them up to get dunked on a little bit, maybe. But Caden is saying Shaheed is going to be this year's JMO. I could see it. Fantastic deep threat. You're saying 57 catches, 1,000 yards or something like that. Could be leading the league in yards per catch. I could see that. He's an awesome deep threat. Get him the ball in the end around too, just like JMO. Speaking of JMO, just got paid a lot of money but I get it. I think he could be in for a big year this year. You could really like get down to it and be like, should he actually be getting paid more than Nico Collins? Like, no, probably not. But you know, he's a good player. I think he'll be a good player. But Pierre Champ is saying Kamara will be run into the dirt. They have no other players to care about. True. Yeah, that is going to be tough, man. And he's starting to get up there a little bit. I mean, yeah, he's going to be getting some tread on his tires. That's what I'll say. Welcome, Henry. Good to have you in here. Good morning to you as well. Appreciate you tuning in Mountain Time Zone. Fired up, man. Fired up. It's a great day. First Sunday of the year. I'm beaming. I'm excited. Unfortunately, we did already hit Falcons versus Bucks, and well, let's just say the Bucks are in here again. So good morning, Tampa Bay as well. Appreciate you tuning in as always. Bucks mentioned. Bucks saying, can't wait to spend another Sunday with the crew. Enjoy week one. Appreciate it, man. Well, I tell you what, Buccaneers, I may have pivoted away from you guys being team of Dr. Pigskin, and no SUVs have pulled up to my place yet. Vita Vea hasn't come to sit on me yet, but I did pick you guys to beat the Falcons here today. Gonna be a fun game. That's the game of the week for me, or at least the game of the 1 o'clock window. That's going to be the one up on the big screen. Fired up for it, but we'll see. I'm excited to see Penix out there. And if you want some Falcons optimism, Henry, Drake London to the moon, man. Drake London to the freaking moon. He could be in for a big game here today. I want him fed early and often. Give me 17 Drake London targets today. Let's get crazy with it. Let's go. All right. Next game. Steelers versus Jets. Oh, the poor Jets. And I'll not necessarily in the fact that like, oh, I think the Jets are going to get throttled or anything. But poor Jets, the NFL just propped them up underneath the basket. It's like, go ahead, get dunked on. Aaron Rodgers' first game with the Steelers against the Jets. They have totally been set up for an Aaron Rodgers revenge game here. And just like taking the temperature of the Jets fan base, a lot of them seem to be pretty upset that this game was week one. And honestly, I understand. That could be a little tough. So thank you for the reminder, Brent. Yes, drink water, stay hydrated. You know what? I'm going to take that reminder to heart because I can feel myself right on cue. Getting a little parched here. But I guess, yeah, it's true. You know, we got Justin Fields on the other side too. Who did I pick? I did pick the Steelers in this game. I almost could see the Jets winning though, right? I mean, I'm a bit of a Jets optimist this year. I do like the running game. I think the line could be pretty good. And again, I think this is another one of those like sneaky talented teams, and just like they've fallen short of expectations so much recently, that it can be easy to forget like how many good players are on this Jets roster, right? Maybe the quarterback situation isn't the best, but I like the young offensive line. Garrett Wilson's a good one. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen in the backfield is nice. And then, you know, like the defense, like Phillips, Quinn, and Williams up front, nice. That's a lot better than last year. Sauce is still good. I like their linebackers. And maybe Aaron Glenn's got a little something for us. Maybe Steve Wilkes has got a little something for us. I could see, yeah, here's the thing though. I honestly kind of want to pick the Jets in this game. I really do. Because I could see like this Jets offensive line handling the Steelers defensive front better than a lot of teams. Like I could see a world where like a few years ago, TJ Watt walks into this game and completely takes it over and gets 3 sacks. Now, maybe it's like half a sack, right? Now, maybe Alex Smith isn't quite teeing off on the Jets offensive line as he would have like a few years ago, right? I'm going to expect a lot of running from Justin Fields in this game. Steelers like to play a lot of man coverage. And I think, you know, it's not just going to be designed runs, but it's going to be scrambles. Defense is going to have their back turned to the quarterback. Maybe a little bit of pressure gets on him. Roll out of the pocket, just take off and scramble. If you're Justin Fields, screw it. You're kind of fighting to show that you belong in this league, right? Carry the ball 12 times. Go for it, right? Scramble 6 times. Pick up a 3rd and 8 with your legs. Do all sorts of crazy stuff. Henry with a good question saying if Fields plays defense, if he plays defense, that'd be crazy. If Fields plays decent, do I think that he'd get a big extension? Ooh, you know, I'm not going to completely shut the door on that, right? I would like to think probably not. I would like to think the Jets are going to have another plan at quarterback come next year. If they win like 8 games, though, and the running game really gets going and the players like them, I could see it being one of those situations where it's like, what the heck? Like, we pick 9th and the quarterback class isn't as good as we thought it was going to be. Sure, we'll run it back with Fields again and just continue to build up the rest of the team. I'm going to say like 50-50, honestly. I'm going to say 50-50, but what's up, Jack and Game Solved? Good to have you guys in here. Good morning, you guys. Let's go. You know, Jack, I was talking earlier about the Chargers-Chiefs game a little bit, and I got to say, I'll eat a little bit of crow, at least for this week, right? You know what? Mekhi Becton didn't allow a single pressure out there. I even went on PFF and I checked. No pressures allowed by Mekhi Becton on Friday. So I'll take my dunking on there a little bit. I'll give you that. You got me this week, I will say. But nothing like a little razzing in the Discord, right? You got to keep me honest, right? You know, I'm not all-knowing, omnipotent, you know, but... Henry asking, I'm not worried about the line with the Vera Tucker injury. That is true. That's not nothing. AVT is a pretty good player, and it is a bummer that he is out because he's just such a versatile piece that you can put wherever, and he's good in pass protection and in the run game. Interesting. It looks like they've got Joe Tippmann starting out right guard now. You know, it's funny. I was actually about to say I do like the rest of their interior. I was like, I like Joe Tippmann, their center, a lot, but it looks like he's going to be at right guard. And then Josh Myers, the former Packer, is going to be at center. That's not my favorite. But honestly, is the line quite as good without AVT? No. But I still think it's not a bad unit, honestly. I think Fashanu and Membu is going to be a really good tackle duo. Simpson's a good, reliable vet at left guard. And I'm telling you, like, maybe I'm crazy for gassing this guy up. I really think, as much as you can, like, break out as an interior offensive lineman, I really think Joe Tippmann could be a breakout player this year. I think he could really turn some heads as a run blocker. He kind of flew under the radar in San Francisco a little bit, right? And he's not amazing in pass protection, but he is a mauler in the run game. And I don't know that he's ever played right guard before, which is interesting. I would have preferred him at center. I'm not the Jets coach or anything, but you know what I mean. But I'm pretty excited to watch him today versus like Cameron Hayward and Keanu Benton. That'll be a good matchup. But if AVT was healthy, like, I would flirt with calling the Jets a top 10 offensive line. I really do like what they're building there. I say all that. I am going to lean Steelers. Rodgers is going to get booed probably, right? I'll lean Steelers, though. I do think they're still a little bit better. I think they've got good answers for most of what the Jets are going to try and do, right? As much as I love the Jets line, like, the Steelers line is pretty good in their own right. And I think overall, like, I could see Fields maybe taking a bad sack or two just because that's a big tendency of his. Like, you know, I said TJ Watt might not take the game over. I don't know. He might get like 1.5 sacks just because, like, Fields can hold on to the ball a long time sometimes. This could be a classic Steelers game where TJ Watt gets a strip sack in the fourth quarter or something like that. But I think it'll be close. I'll go Steelers at a bit of a slop fest. I'll say Steelers 2017 over the Jets. How about that? I could see the Jets pulling off the upset, though. I'm trying to be, like, cautiously optimistic about them, right? Because, you know, it's going to be a long process, this rebuild will be. It's going to take some patience. But I just like Aaron Glenn so much. I really want Aaron Glenn to succeed. And I like the vision of how they're trying to build this team up. That's what I'll say. But Caden asking, what's that new offensive lineman award? Protector of the Year. Which, and I think some people have gotten into this before, but the wording of that award is very interesting. You hear protector, you think of pass protection. You think that might favor tackles a little bit more than guards. It might favor pass protection guys more than run blockers. But I picked Lane Johnson. I still think he's, like, at worst the second best tackle in the NFL. And as a lot of people said, and I totally agree with it, it would make sense. Like, you can go into, like, the politics of awards and all that, but it would make sense to give Lane the award just because, like, you know, he doesn't have many years left. He's still at the top of his game. It's not only an award for this season, but almost like a recognition for previous seasons from him, too, when he didn't have the chance to win the award, right? Penei Sewell is going to have plenty of chances to win Protector of the Year. Tristan Wirfs is going to have plenty of chances, you know. Lane may not, and if Lane goes in as a good season, I think they'll give it to him, but Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited that linemen are going to get their own award. It's long overdue. They've never had a shot getting an award in the previous system, so it's a great change. It really is. Mono's an Arthur Smith trooper. Steelers offense might just be solid this year. I can almost, I was kind of hyping him up a little bit going into last year. The one thing I'm interested is how are he and Aaron Rodgers going to get along? Just because they're different schematically and they're both very stubborn people. That will be one more thing to watch. I'm glad you brought that up because that was one other thing I wanted to talk about. That will just be something to watch. How does the Steelers offense look week one? How much is Rodgers getting under center? How much motion are they actually doing versus what Rodgers wants to do and like getting in shotgun and ripping the ball and going fast and all that? That will be pretty interesting to watch. There could be some beef maybe. I don't know. There could be some tension. But good gracious. Good gravy almighty. Get ready for this next one. This one. Let's just say, so I'm going to have Falcons Bucks up on the big screen, right? I'm working with 2 other TVs this year, which just has me giddy with excitement. Let's just say this is another game this game will be up on one of the smaller TVs, and I'm going to be quite locked in on this game. Wee-oo, wee-oo, upset alert, wee-oo, wee-oo, upset alert, let's go! The team of Dr. Pigskin, the New York Giants, are taking the field at 1 o'clock in Landover, Maryland, and we're gonna shock the world! Let's go! This is my upset pick for week 1. Shocker, right? I feel like everyone and their mother that's been following this channel this offseason could see this coming. I'm taking the Giants! Give me the Giants over the Commanders, straight up! Oh, baby, I'm so excited to watch this defense play this season. I cannot wait to watch this 4-man pass rush. You want to talk about things getting disgusting on 3rd down. Oh, baby, you have no idea how badly I want Shane Bowen to trot out Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Kayvon Thibodeau all on the line on 3rd down. 3rd and 8, send those 4 and wreck shop. You've got Paulson Adebo, the ball hawk, lurking behind him. You've got Javon Holland who can bring on blitzes. I mean, I've nerded out about this defense enough, right? You guys know the speech at this point. Man, this is just like the perfect storm of a team that I'm unreasonably high on versus a team that I'm just a little bit lower on, And I will say, for what it's worth, another thing to watch out for the Commanders, I like their tackles a decent amount. I liked Josh Connerly coming out of the draft, and obviously, like, Laramie Tunsil's an upgrade over what they had last year. Their tackles should be all right. I mean, Tunsil should handle himself against whatever edge, but then it's going to be a rookie Connerly on either Abdul Carter or Brian Burns. Like, that is a matchup to be had right there. But really, what I think could really, like, legitimately swing this game is the fact that Sam Cosmi, probably the Commanders' best blocker last season, their right guard, right, suffered an injury in the playoffs. He's still out for a little bit. He's not playing today. Who's blocking Dex? Like, seriously, like we've seen Dexter Lawrence take over so many games just on his own. This is now the most help he's ever had around him. I mean, we've seen Dexter. I mean, who's blocking him, right? I'm looking at their depth chart right now. It's Brandon Coleman, Tyler Biotish, and Nick Allegretti as their interior guys, right? You have to at least double team Dex every play, right? You are probably going to have Connerly out on an island versus either Carter or Brian Burns. That's a tough assignment for a first-year tackle. I don't know, man. I could just see this defense really causing problems against a weaker front. I think if you're the Commanders, the game plan is pretty simple, right? I mean, this is an offense that relied a lot on screens and deep shots last year. I think the deep shots might be a little bit harder to come by. If they're doing all these deep dropbacks and trying to hit Terry deep, I think that's going to be a little bit harder. I like the Giants' safeties. I like their corners. And I just don't think Jaden is going to have like 5 seconds to wait for someone to get open downfield. I think it's going to be a lot of screens. And I tell you what, I like Javon Holland coming downhill against a screen. I like Drew Phillips coming downhill against a screen. I like Tyler Nubin coming downhill against a screen, right? I just really think this defense matches up well against the Commanders. I could see it where we're at like halftime and the Commanders have like 7 points. This could age horribly. Game Solved is gassing me up right now. I appreciate that you like the upset pick. I will say this could age horribly. Like, I get it. But I think this defense is going to be a problem for a lot of teams. But I worry about how the Commanders might match up in particular. And then offensively, right? Here's what I'll say. I really think the bar is fairly low for the Giants to be a passable, competent offense. F it, Malik down there somewhere. Screen to Malik. I don't know. Like, just get the man like 12 targets a game. And I feel so bad because I do just like rip on the Commanders a lot, and I get it. And I don't know. Who's guarding Malik in the secondary, right? I mean, this was a secondary that kind of got cooked by a lot of these top receivers last year. We saw Malik Neighbors have a monster game against him last year. Russ Wilson moonballs back on the menu. I could see a deep shot or two hit, I think it's going to be close. I'm going to take the Giants in an upset. I'm going to say Giants 23, Commanders 19. Weird game. You guys knew this was coming. I'm taking the Giants. The G-Men. New York City is coming to life. Let's go. Oh, I can't wait. Yeah, I'm going to be unhealthily locked in on this game, dude. I will say, this is a Dr. Pigskin legacy game right here. After what transpired on Friday, my legacy is on the line right here. After what happened with the team of Dr. Pigskin, the Colts last year, there's a lot on the line, but give me the G-Men. Jack says Jaden Daniels, fair point. Jaden Daniels could swing things. Jaden Daniels could maybe run around and escape some pressure a little bit. I will give you that. He is someone that could slip out and like rush for 80 yards in this game. Like that is totally on the menu. I think it's going to be a lot of screens, a lot of designed runs, and I think they're certainly going to try and hit the deep shots because they're good at it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out in a few hours, but crazy. We get to follow that game up with the other 1 o'clock game that's going to be on TV for me. The other 1 o'clock game that I'm going to be stupidly locked in for. Come on. I mean, you guys knew I was hyped up for this one, right? Panthers versus Jaguars. Oh, 2 of my pet teams right here. Oh, baby. Yeah. Travis Hunter's debut, Teteroa McMillan's debut, new coach for the Jaguars and Liam Cohen. Man, there's just so many storylines in this game. I think this could be a bit of a high-scoring game, honestly. I am going to go with the Jaguars. Again, I have cooled on the Panthers at least a little bit, right? Because the defense worries me tremendously, especially like week 1 going up against a duo of BTJ and Travis Hunter. Man, I like JC Horn enough, but I think Brian Thomas could get him. And then it's Mike Jackson on Travis Hunter, Like, it's Mike Jackson on Travis Hunter. Who's rushing the passer, right? Looks like, is Nick Scorton playing? I'm looking to see on the injury report right now. I know he's dealing with that lung thing. But even if he is, we're looking at Nick Scorton, Princely Unamanamilan. I think I got his name wrong, but we're looking at day 2 rookies, and then Patrick Jones and DJ Wanham to get after the quarterback. I think the thing that could like really worry you about the Jaguars, and there's a Nate Tice tweet about this a few weeks ago, where he's like, every time I get excited about the Jaguars, I take a look at their offensive line, and then I just like cool down a little bit more. The offensive line is a little worrying. Respectfully, maybe not this week, though. Maybe not against the Panthers pass rush. I do think the Panthers run defense will be pretty good. I love the Browns and then Tershawn Wharton, right? Derek Brown, Bobby Brown, Tershawn Wharton. I've said those names a stupid amount of times this offseason. They might be tough to run on. Man, I worry about this pass defense, though. I could see, stop me if you've heard this before, I could see Trevor Lawrence having a monster game in this one, though. I really could. I just think these receivers are going to be so much. Oh, man, Lawrence is so good at throwing deep, and now he's got maybe 2 of the best deep threats in the NFL. And, the Jaguars' defense is all right. I like your vision of a shootout here, Ted, right? Ted is saying Panthers 37-33. It wouldn't shock me if this was like the highest scoring game of the 1 o'clock window, honestly. I like both these offenses a good amount. I think I like the Jags offense a little bit more, and I'm a little less worried about the Jags defense. But I'm excited to see Bryce Young year 3 now, right? We'll see how he's looking. I'm excited to see this run game with Chuba Hubbard. I'm excited to see this offensive line again. I'm excited to see Teteroa McMillan versus Tyson Campbell. That could be a really fun matchup. Yeah. Jack is saying stop. Yeah, fair enough. Henry says this game was tailor-made for me. Yeah, I mean, I almost like flirted with putting this game on the big screen, but Christine and I are going to be watching the Falcons game together. It's like, all right, yeah, well, we'll have Falcons Bucks on the big screen, but if there's like a third down in this game, I might be turned this way looking at this game instead. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. It's the battle of the jungle cats. You know what I'm saying? But Henry asking, what do I think of the Jags running back room? Well, here's what I'll say. I have a crazy amount of Bashal Tutin in fantasy this year. I have a lot of Bashal Tutin in fantasy. I think ETN might get phased out as the season goes on a little bit. I don't know. He just hasn't really lived up to the billing that he had coming out of college, and he had kind of a rough year last year. He had those fumbles and a little bit of drops issues and just dealt with some injuries. I think Tutin would be like a real interesting player if Bigsby wasn't there. Bigsby will at least get like a lot of the goal line work, and Bigsby ran all right last year. It wouldn't shock me if like come December, ETN is like third on the depth chart, honestly. I mean, Tutin has fumble issues too. That's a big reason why he fell in the draft so much, but he's such an explosive runner. I mean, it's such a lazy comp, but honestly, there's almost like slight Bucky Irving vibes to him a little bit, just like an insanely skilled runner, like passed the eye test with flying colors, but fell in the draft a little bit for one reason or another. Comes to a Liam Cohen offense where, yes, there's established guys ahead of him, but like, man, you think the talent might shine through a little bit. So I'm not saying Tutin is going to get a lot of run week 1 necessarily. I do think like first drive, yeah, ETN and Bigsby will probably be out there a lot, but they're kind of playing for their jobs a little bit. ETN better run well in September. That's what I'll say. Because if he's going out there and he's averaging like 3.1 yards per carry and he's like still dropping the ball and just isn't looking as explosive, he could get yanked out of there pretty quick, just based off of like what I've heard and what I've seen and stuff. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe GameSolve can correct me on this, but just from like what I've observed, the coaching staff doesn't exactly seem enamored with ETN. And I think it's very telling that they went and drafted a back in the 4th round. So that's what I'll say about the Jags running back room. It is number 1 pick versus number 1 pick. You know, we got some good quarterbacks out there. I'm excited to see Bryce. So, but yeah, this is one of the games of the week right here. Unironically, this is the Dr. Pigskin Bowl, if I say so myself. All right. We have made it to the 4 o'clock window, folks. We've got a few games left here. Man, I'm looking at the time. It's 11:37. We're getting there. I just can't believe my life right now, man. What a day it is. What a day it is. Oh, Brent says he can't wait for this game to be 3-0. Nah. Oh, score prediction. What am I doing? You know what? Jaguars 35, Panthers 28. Shootout. Cinema. We're going to be in for a treat here in this one. I'm telling you, if you guys have like an open screen or something like that, if you're looking for another game to follow along besides your team, I mean, take what I say with a grain of salt. I don't know. Keep an eye out on this game. We could be in for some fireworks in this game. This next game, there might not be quite as many fireworks as there is just like a full-on explosion that goes one way. And it's not even that I necessarily hate this team that might be receiving the explosion, if you will. But we do have to talk about Titans versus Broncos. Poor Cam Ward, man. This is about as bad of a hand as you could draw for your first ever NFL game. This kind of reminds me of CJ Stroud's debut a few years ago, where he had to go on the road against the Ravens week 1, right? Cam Ward, I like a decent amount, and he showed me a little something in the preseason, and he's been garnering all this buzz in training camp and whatever. Like all that's fine. Like we'll see when the bullets are actually flying. But I say all that to say, like, I don't think he's like, oh, this is a Daniel Jones level reach or whatever. He's going up against what might be the best defense in the NFL. He's going up against what might be the best secondary in the NFL. He's going up against a team that I believe led the league in sacks last season. And it's on the road in the thin air in Denver. And I don't know. We're going to see real quick just how much creation ability Cam Ward really has, because I just do not think there's going to be a lot there in structure for him, right? I mean, I just really struggle to see these Titans receivers winning against this Broncos secondary, right? I kind of hit at the top of the show talking about, okay, should you start Calvin Ridley in fantasy or not? If you have other options, I might consider it, because even though Ridley kind of had a nice bounce back year last year, it might be Ridley on the reigning depoy. It might be Ridley on Surtain. And if it's not Surtain, it might be Riley Moss, who's an excellent cornerback too, or it could be Jahdae Barron, their first-round rookie, right? There's not really any easy matchups in the secondary anywhere that you look. I mean, it's not like you can just there's one guy you can pick on, like I've talked about with some of these other teams. There's no Adoree Jackson out there that you can just throw at, really. On top of that, I like some of the moves the Titans made on their offensive line. Again, nothing crazy. They brought in an older guard in Kevin Zeitler, but he can still play. And Dan Moore is about as B of a guard as you can get. He's a solid 82 overall, if you will. But they're raising the floor, right? Are they stopping Zach Allen? Are they stopping John Franklin Myers? Are they stopping Cooper and Benito? I don't know, man. I don't know. Right? I mean, would it shock you if Cam Ward just spent this whole game running for his life? I'm not going to put too much into what I see from Cam Ward this week. I mean, if he plays well, if he throws for 300 yards, that's holy crap, there's not a lot of quarterbacks that are doing that against this defense, I would be genuinely shocked. I would be surprised if the Titans scored more than 17 in this game, honestly. The Broncos offense should be pretty good again this year too, right? I love the line. I love the running game. Sean Payton is good. And the Titans defense was statistically pretty good last year, but it's nothing crazy. Their strength is up front in the trenches with Sweat and Simmons, but who better to block up the middle than Quinn Miners, Luke Wattenberg, Ben Powers, right? Fantastic offensive line. This is going to be a fantastic matchup in the trenches, but I'll give the edge to the Broncos here. I'll say Denver wins. We'll say 27-17. How about that? A comfortable 10-point win for Denver at home. So, again, just kind of feel for Cam Ward in this one, honestly. I don't know how much he can actually do right out of the gate. So, you are right. There is Tyler Lockett. Maybe he's still got a little something left in the tank. Maybe Tyler Lockett could be a nice veteran contributor. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. Welcome, Ryan Asty. Let's go. Welcome, Ryan Asty. Good to have you in here. Yeah, we were talking about Bucks Falcons earlier. We're riding with the Bucks today. We're riding with the Bucks, picking a big divisional road win for Tampa to start off the year, even with all the injuries. They're a little banged up, but I think they'll be able to get the job done. Jack is saying that the Titans-Broncos game reminds him of Hawks-Broncos week 1 last year, except the Broncos are in the Hawks position. Yeah, I could see that, right? Rookie quarterback going up against a nasty defense. Yeah, totally makes sense. We saw how that went, I'm with you on Bo Nix, honestly, Henry. Bo Nix, maybe a sophomore slump. See, well, here's what I'll say about that. I do think, his sophomore slump might be, he just doesn't take a crazy step forward and that he doesn't, grow much from where he was last year. Because I do think a lot of what made Bo Nix a successful quarterback last year is still there. The line... all their starters are back. Sean Payton is still there. If anything, I'd say their weapons got a little bit better, bringing in a few new running backs and Evan Ingram, right? I mean, I'm not necessarily a Bo Nix truther or anything, right? But even I could admit, okay, there's a pretty clear formula for making an offense work with him. I could sit here and say, well, they've got a capped ceiling, we saw what happened when they ran into the Bills in the playoffs, and that's true. But I also think they've got a pretty established floor with what they did. They can go out there. They can do the same sort of designed rollout, screen-heavy, flat-heavy attack with the occasional deep shot mixed in. They could do the same exact thing as last year. And maybe it doesn't necessarily get better. The Broncos might not have the number 8 ranked passing game or anything. But I also don't think that the bottom is going to fall out. There's just too much good there where... I trust the coaching staff and the talent around them so much. And And Nick's was all right. Like, I could say, like, Nick's was all right, you know. But Ryan Nasty has a dilemma. He's having struggles on who to start, Otten or Loveland. Gut tells him Otten, but he just feels a Sam Laporta rookie season from Loveland. Henry is leaning Otten there, an easier defensive matchup, and Loveland has a lot of target competition. That is fair, and I love the Brian Flores shout out. I will say just as much Brian Flores as it is Blake Cashman, right? I mean, man, having Blake Cashman back for the Vikings is going to be massive. We'll save that for a few minutes here, but am I crazy for still leaning Loveland, though? I'm just so high on Loveland this year. Yeah, there are a lot of mouths to feed, and maybe I'm stupid for like putting so much stock into one drive on the preseason, but it's literally just two throws. It was a bootleg from Caleb throwing to Loveland in the flat for 9 yards, and then he hit Loveland for like a 17-yard crosser. And it was just like a very come to Jesus moment for he was like, oh my gosh, he's going to be so sick in this offense this year. You know what? I'm going to be different. I'm going to say Loveland. You know what? Otten is maybe safer. Screw it. I'm going to say Colston Loveland. And I say that as like he's going against my precious Vikings. Take that for what you will. I'm outvoted here. My vote is for Loveland. I like Loveland a lot this year. All right. Few more games. Here we go, Jack. And here we go, Steph. Steph was asking me about this game at the top of the show. Now we've got Jack, our resident Seahawks fan, in here. This is one that I'm super, super excited to talk about. We're going to take a swig of water, maybe a swig of coffee, as if I need more energy right now. And then we're going to talk about an NFC West grudge match. Seahawks versus Niners in Seattle. Oh, I'm excited for this one. This is a great game right here. Let's go. Cheers. Here's the football. All right. Take this for what you will, and I truly hope there's no jinx or kiss of death here or anything like that. Steph has been waiting on this one. Jack is nervous about this game. Here's what I'll say. Steph asked me about this game at the top of the show, and I said, there's a team I honestly feel pretty good about in this game. I really like Seattle in this game. I've got the Seahawks winning, and I could honestly see them winning pretty comfortably. I think they match up excellently with the 49ers here. Joao is saying his Seahawks will shock the world. I'm with you, man. I really like Seattle in this game. I think they're a great matchup against the 49ers. Couple of things that I'll want to hit, right? Overall, I think if you had to ask me what I thought was the strongest unit in this game between these two teams, I would say it's the Seahawks defense, honestly. As they are right now, I would say this Seahawks defense is the strongest unit in this game. This is also a really well-coached defense under Mike Macdonald. Someone who's had a lot of success against not just Kyle Shanahan, but really the Shanahan offense as a whole. So much of this defense is predicated on stopping throws over the middle, right? Stopping those crossers off of play action, all that good stuff. And on top of that, so much of this defense is predicated on disguises and simulated pressures, right? Who's blitzing, who's not, having all these versatile guys that can fill all these different roles. What's made the 49ers offense and all of these Shanahan tree offenses so successful is they could do all this crazy stuff with motion, and they're really dictating to the defense how things are going to be. They're dictating the matchups, and the defense is left guessing, like, okay, who's doing what? Where's the ball going? We can see them present one formation coming out of the huddle. By the time the ball is actually snapped, so much has changed and so much has happened. Like, we don't know, right? Mike Macdonald kind of does the same thing though, right? I like the way that like a lot of podcasters that I've listened to have put it, right? It's all about who has the pen last, who makes the last move in this game of tic-tac-toe or chess or checkers or whatever, right? And this Mike Macdonald style of defense, they're the ones making the moves last. They're the ones that are dictating things to the offense. They're moving guys around. There's just as much movement and trickery and disguise before the play as there is in any Shanahan type of offense. And this is such a phenomenal looking defensive roster, right? I mean, I could see Leonard Williams, like, you want to talk about a defensive lineman taking over the game, man. Leonard Williams, if he's going up against like Ben Barch or Jake Brendel, that could be a real problem, right? Trent Williams is nice, and I like Dominic Pooney, but honestly, outside of that, I'm just really not that big on this 49ers offensive line. Their wide receiver room is super banged up right now, right? Their new guy, Demarcus Robinson, is suspended. Brandon Ayuk is out. It's going to be Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, and MVS, you know? Honestly, advantage Seahawks secondary. I really think so. Like, I think this Seahawks defense is going to come out nasty. I really think this defense is like that. And then offensively, I like what you're saying, Joao. K9 breakout game. This is going to be such a fascinating test for the Seahawks run game and the 49ers run defense. Two units that have struggled in years past and have undergone a little bit of a makeover, right? This 49ers run defense, quite frankly, has not really been that good for a few years now. Even the year they made the Super Bowl run, we saw them get gashed on the ground in the playoffs against the Packers and the Lions, right? Last year was not a good run defense. And they drafted some guys, they brought some guys in, but like, man, they're counting on Alfred Collins to be good right away. I like Mykel Williams. Man, they're really asking a lot out of him, right? And the Seahawks, I love the Gray Zabel pick. I love the retooled offensive line. I like the Clint Kubiak run game. I like K9 and Charbonnet. Yeah, I could see them really running the ball here. I could see K9 going for 100 yards in this game. I could see Seattle controlling the clock. The defense dominates. The run game is good. It's in Seattle. It's going to be rocking. I'm taking this. I'm going to take the Seahawks by like 10 here, honestly. Like, maybe 10 is a bit much, but I don't know. Screw it. I'm going to take the Seahawks by 10. I'm going to say like Seattle 27, 49ers 17. I really think this could turn some heads with the results of this game. And CMC is playing, which I've seen as like more or less confirmed now. But again, like, how limited is he going to be? Robert Saleh is back. That's fair. And the offense worries you with the Hawks. That is fair. We'll see how the new look passing game is. That is understandable to be a little worried about that. Nick Bosa could certainly cause some problems. Maybe I'm too high on the Seahawks. I know, a lot of 10-point victories. It's convenient, I guess. I don't know. I need to get more like 8-point games in there or something, but I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one. I really like Seattle in this game, so it's a bit of an upset, but I'm rocking with Seattle here. But it's understandable to be nervous about that game, that's for sure. We've got a couple left here now. Daddy Messi dropping in. Appreciate you tuning in. Let's go. Go Niners. That's right. We got our resident Niners fan in here now. Just wrapped up that. Sorry about picking against your team. Oh, man. We got Sorn in here as well. Welcome, Sorn. Let's go. Good to have you in here. Mono with a hot take. Darnold will melt down and get benched after week 10 or so. As a Jalen Milroe believer, I would like to see Milroe come in. A meltdown would be crazy, though. Meltdown would be crazy. Jack's got the Hawks by 50. Niners don't scare me anymore. Steph is saying, I'm kind of with you. I'm fading the Niners a little bit. Sorn has got the Hawks winning the NFC West. Whoo. That's spicy. They're one team. It's like, I could see a world where it happens, I have them finishing third because I like a few of the other teams, but we'll see. Whew. All right, we've got a few more left here. And honestly, I think for time's sake, we'll save Vikings Bears for later tonight. Again, for those that might have missed it, we will be going live tonight for Ravens versus Bills. Fired up for that one. So we're going to preview Ravens Bills, and then we'll preview Vikings Bears during that stream as well. We've got a few games left. You know what? We're gonna save the big one for last. Let's skip the order here. Let's do Texans Rams. We'll save Packers Lions for last. How about that? All right. I got a little messed up there for a sec. The illusion was broken, but oh well. Another great game right here. Two teams that I really, really enjoy watching. Two teams that I think are honestly pretty similar in the way that they're built and their strengths and their weaknesses. Texans versus Rams. Two fantastic quarterbacks, two like true high-end wide receiver ones, and two phenomenal pass rushes, and two great coaching staffs too. These are two teams that I really, really enjoy watching, with really high highs, but also little bit of concerns, right? There are some worries on both teams, and both teams I think have similar concerns. You worry about the offensive line and the quarterbacks getting hounded and harassed a little bit. Stafford's coming into this game maybe a little bit hobbled, right? There's rumors of his demise. Stafford died weeks ago, weekend at Bernie's type situation. Alaric Jackson, their left tackle, is going to play. He was dealing with like a heart condition and blood clots, which was a little scary, but he is going to play. That's massive. No more AJR Curry snaps, right? No more AJR Curry. And I think, no disrespect, go Dogs. No more Warren McClendon either, hopefully, right? Hopefully we can get some serious NFL level tackles for Stafford this year, because that could go a long way. He just can't mitigate pressure with his legs like he used to. I mean, what else is there to say about the Rams that I haven't already said, right? Offense should be awesome. As long as they're healthy, offense should be incredible. Pass rush should be incredible. Secondary scares me a little bit. With the Texans, what else is there to say, right? Offense should be a lot of fun. Maybe not quite as balanced as the Rams, but like Stroud to Nico should be fantastic. I like the rookie receivers they brought in, especially Jalen Noel. I really like Jalen Noel, especially with no Christian Kirk. Oh, I hope Jalen Noel starts in the slot today. Okay, man, I might have to do something here. When we get to our next segment, I might have to do a little something with Jalen Noel. Oh, okay. I forgot Christian Kirk was out, and all respect to him. Obviously, this is not like me rooting for an injury or anything. I'm very happy that Jalen Noel might be getting the starting snaps instead. Man, okay. And then the Texans defense is just legit. I've gone back and forth on this game so much, to be honest. I still don't even know. Like, I have my pick, but like, I don't feel the most confident by it. Check is saying Texans by 20. Someone also thinks Houston ekes this one out. Man, I really have gone back and forth on this game, but I am going to pick the Rams. I will. Jared Verse on Titus Howard, that could be a problem. I mean, this Rams pass rush in general could be a serious problem for this Texans offensive line. Again, they made some changes. I can't promise that they're exactly going to be better, you know? Like, I just don't like the players that they brought in necessarily. But I do think, like, new coaching staff, like, that could just help them sort things out a little bit. Maybe Stroud is a little bit more comfortable with a bad offensive line this year. Like, that all could certainly happen. And I will say, if we're going to talk about feasting, like, Nico Collins will probably feast on this Rams secondary, right? I think that's also fair to point out. But ultimately, I do think I trust the Rams line to hold up against the Texans just a little bit better than the Texans line against the Rams rush, if that makes sense, right? These are two very even teams with very similar strengths and weaknesses, but I think I just trust the Rams a little bit more. And I'm just slightly less worried about their offensive line. So, no, I mean, it's fair, right? Like, yeah, like that is absolutely true. But I do trust the Rams line just a little bit more. And I trust McVay. I trust Stafford. But yeah, we'll see. I don't know. They do have Stingley, but they could get Puka in motion a little bit. But I don't know. I will say, here's what I'll say. Rams are 3.5-point favorites. That seems like a lot. 3.5 seems like a lot. I think it's going to be a pretty close game. Man, this one might be like the closest game of today, honestly. Like, this one could be a coin flip, but I'm going to lean Rams here, honestly. Caden wants a 20-piece from Kyron. Ooh, I don't know. I mean, Houston's run defense is pretty solid. That could be a little tough. I feel like we might see a lot of pass attempts in this game. This could be another one of those high-scoring games. Oh, dang it. Yeah, you did miss the grid, Ryan Asty. It was an all right performance from me. I've had better. That's what I'll say. But the Rams corners could be barbecue chicken. I will say that is a very valid concern. Yeah. Houston's secondary is certainly much better than the Rams. See, like I could legitimately go back and forth on this one, right? But I'm going to stick with my gut here. I'm going to go with the Rams. One final thing. I'm a little worried about this Texans running game too. No Joe Mixon to start the season, right? I mean, I love Nick Chubb forever. His knees might be fried turkey at this point, you know, like, and the run game was really not good without Mixon last year. So I think the Rams offense will just be a little bit more balanced, and I trust their offensive line just a little bit more. So we'll go Rams here. All right. Final one of the Sunday slate. You know, usually I said these streams usually take about 2 hours. We're going over today, but you know what? That's okay. It's totally worth it. Good question from Pearchamp. You're teeing me up beautifully here. Asking, besides the Vikings game, which game would I say that I'm most excited for this Sunday? There's a lot of good candidates, ones that I've already hit, right? For obvious reasons, I'm super excited about like Jaguars versus Panthers. I'm super excited about Texans versus Ravens, or Texans versus Rams. Bills Ravens excites me a lot, right? Giants Commanders excites me a lot, right? Raiders Patriots excites me a lot. But I'm going to be honest with you. The one game that does excite me the most, and I said the Texans Rams might be the closest game. This is the game of the week right here, especially with what's just transpired, how much might be at stake for not just the division, but the NFC as a whole. This is the true game of the week right here, and this is the one that I'm most excited for. It's Lions versus Packers. Yep, you got it, mile marker, lion emoji, MCDC. What else is there to say? Micah Parsons' debut. We saw a really great game on Thursday night between these two teams last year. Two of the best teams in the NFC. Two teams that I could legitimately see making the Super Bowl this year. Two teams that I'm really high on. Lions coming into a new era with a new coaching staff, right? Two new coordinators. How are they going to replace Frank Ragnow? Packers, how is their defense going to look with Micah Parsons? How is Matthew Golden going to look in his debut? Can Jordan Love maybe just finally play as well as I think he can, right? Can this Packers offensive line, which has been a little retooled, can they play a little bit better maybe? There is just so much to have here. It's in Lambeau. Jack says Lions by 17. I'm taking the Packers. I really am, man. I was tempted to take the Packers in this game even before they got Micah. I'm taking them now. I really think they're going to get him. It was a very close game last time around these two teams played. I think Love is going to have a little something for us. And I just think, like, game one, right? I think the Lions will be fine overall. And I know I was a little, I don't want to say doom and gloom, but like I had them finishing third in the division, but making the playoffs, which is, lower than they have been recently, right? But I think particularly for game one, this is going to be, I don't know, like it could be an adjustment period, right? Not just with two new coordinators, but with a retooled offensive line as well. Would it shock you if they started out maybe a little bit slower? No. Would it shock you if they came out of the gate hot because Campbell got them right and this is still a talented team? Also no. Man, I know I've obsessed over this so much. Here's what I'll say, and I alluded to this earlier. When the Lions get to third down on offense, here's what I would do if I was Jeff Hafley, if I was the Packers defensive coordinator, genuinely. I would line up Edgerrin Cooper and Micah Parsons in the A-gap on third down and send them both, right? The double mug that you see with like Mike Zimmer did it a lot. Brian Flores does it. Packers did it last year without Micah Parsons, right? But you get him like up in a 2-point stance, just ready to tee off on the interior, right? Man, I mean, you got 3 new starters on the interior going up against a ridiculous blitzer in Edgerrin Cooper and then Micah Parsons, right? If you're the Packers defense, you try and make Graham Glasgow's life miserable. And I think if you just double mug the A gap, that's the game plan on third down, right? Now I will say, to play devil's advocate against myself, if you're the Lions, you can think, well, what if we just stay out of third down, right? It's not nothing. Packers did lose Kenny Clark. It's not the greatest run defense in the world, and we've seen the Lions pound the rock before, right? If you're the Lions, all right, we're running a lot on first and second down. We're going to try and stay out of third and long because we just do not want something like that to happen, right? And I don't want this to sound like a backhanded compliment to Jared Goff, because I do think Goff could like impress some people this year with how he handles like the coordinator turnover and the line turnover. Like he's still going to get his 4,000 yards and everything, right? Like this offense should still work. And as people are saying, like shouting out Tesla, yeah, like he looked pretty good. JMO could be in for a good year. Man, I think the Packers are going to get him. I really do. And even if the Lions are going to say, hey, we're going to come out and run the ball a lot, maybe I honestly think the biggest reason why I could be wrong about the Lions this year is I put too much stock into them losing Ragnow and Zeitler. But I do think, is it going to be quite as easy to just pound the ball up the middle for like 4 yards a pop without arguably the best center in football now and like a Pro Bowl caliber guard? I don't know. The pass protection is going to have to get shuffled around a little bit, right? Just losing Ragnow changes everything and how they organize their offensive line. It's going to be a big adjustment, and they got to do it week 1 against Micah Parsons. That is a lot, man. That is a lot. Someone in chat, Steph was saying Parsons versus Sewell will feed families for generations. Yeah, I mean, if Parsons is on the edge, that is a great matchup to watch right there. I will quote a Nate Tice stat that he pulled on one of his podcasts, though. In their careers, Parsons versus Sewell in one-on-one matchups in pass protection, Micah Parsons has a pressure rate. I'm trying to remember what the exact number was, but he has a pressure rate against Penei Sewell that's like amongst the highest in the league. Like, in their careers, as great as Sewell is, and I could say the same thing about my man, Christian Darrisaw, or like Brian O'Neill, right? Like, there are some great tackles in the NFC North, but in the past, we have yet to see them really like beat Micah Parsons, if you will. Like, Parsons has beaten all of them, right? When the Packers play the Vikings, I'm going to be saying the same thing. I love Darrisaw, but man, like Parsons will get him, you know. Parsons will get him. Oh no, not the Aiden Hutchinson discourse again. Oh no. He is, I swear. I'm not crazy. Oh boy. This is another Dr. Pigskin legacy game, low key, but I say all that. There's plenty to like with the Lions. And you could just say, like, man, Dan Campbell has them ready. You could still tell me, like, the Lions roster top to bottom is a little bit more talented than the Packers. And I could get down with that. And I will say, I'll be fair, if you're going to point out a matchup to worry about, right, these Lions receivers versus the Packers corners, yeah, that's a little scary, right? I mean, we're looking at, like, Keyshawn Nixon going up against J-Mo. J-Mo could get a big play in this game, right? You've got Nate Hobbs starting on the outside. You know, he's normally a slot guy. And then you've got Javon Bullard, second-year guy, working the slot against St. Brown. Yeah, that's a little scary. That is a little scary. Call me crazy. I'm taking the Packers. I'm taking the Packers in a nail-biter. We'll say 24-21 Packers come out and win this one. Micah Parsons, big debut. Even with the back injury, we'll say 2 sacks for Micah. We're going to take the Packers in this one. But, yeah, that's the game I'm most excited for. That's going to be a good game. That's going to be a really good game. But that was the Sunday slate. I could see that one going either way, man. And I might be, you know, sometimes with these takes, I'm setting myself up in the paint. There's a guy charging in the paint, ready to dunk on me, right? He's got the tomahawk slam ready. We'll see if this is one of those. but I'm going to pick the Packers here. Henry says the Lions were able to pull off having a chip on their shoulders, coming off being the number 1 seed. I think Campbell gets his boys going. No, that's fair. I mean, I will say, as much as I love Matt LaFleur, and I think he's a great play caller and a pretty good coach, for what it's worth, I will say I do trust Dan Campbell coaching in big games more than Matt LaFleur. There have been times where the Packers have come out and played well in big games. There have also been plenty of times where they've come out flat, or it's just been like dumb penalties and like poor discipline. Like that is worth noting, you know. I could see this being a game where like one of the outcomes of this game is like the Lions do just come out and punch them in the mouth, and you've got Matt LaFleur jumping up and down on the sidelines and like gesturing and like, you know, like doing all that stuff. So I will say, like, even with the coordinator turnover, I low-key still want to give the coaching edge to the Lions here, just because I do trust Campbell a little bit more than LaFleur, just like getting his team right for a big game. And I think that does matter. So hopefully about the big puppy. No, Quay Walker could totally do something stupid. Like he could emulate his teammate, Jalen Carter, and like spit on a guy before the game starts, right? Like, I will say that kind of stuff does kind of happen under LaFleur's watch a little bit. Low key, the Packers are not the most disciplined team in the world under LaFleur, but welcome Ears of the Wolf. Let's go. Feliz week 1 Dodd. I love it. Let's go. Feliz week 1 Dodd to you as well. I tried to do Spanish and I just crapped out. I was like, I'm not even going to try. But that was the Sunday slate. Again, we'll hit Ravens Bills before we go live tonight, and then we'll hit Bears Vikings either at like halftime or after the game or something like that. But we've got a few more things here left in this stream. We are going to be slight degenerates per usual, and we're going to do the Pigskin Parlay. Now, I want to just give a little disclaimer, right? And whatever, like you guys get it, right? I'm just doing this for fun. By no means am I like some sort of financial advisor or anything like that. Like, Obviously, just like tail me at your own risk. I'm not necessarily sitting out here like promoting gambling or anything. I'm not saying like, get on Prize Picks right now, guys, right? We're just throwing a cool $5 down on here. Nothing too crazy. I don't know. It's just fun to just like look at some of the lines and just go based off of vibes. So we did this last year. We're doing it again this year. Just a cool little $5. We'll take the free space from Lamar Jackson, or not. Okay, there we go. And I really like Jalen Noel. I really do like Jalen Noel. Hopefully he's out there. Oh my gosh, only 15.5 receiving yards. That's crazy. With Kirk out, I think he's going to get some run this year. I really do. Especially with Kirk out. So we'll go Jalen Noel, 15 receiving yards. And we'll just lock it in right there. Just $5. Nothing too crazy. We'll take our free space. We're not going to put together some crazy like 8-legger this time. We'll just do 2 legs. So really just Jalen Noel needs to get 16 yards. But, okay, it's just submitting. But appreciate it, Pear Champ. Appreciate it. But before you go, we've got that locked in. We've got one more thing to hit here. This is a new thing to the Pigskin Pregame this year. This is a new thing. Caden likes Tyler Warren. Oh, I could have thrown him in there too. I will say, full disclosure, I do have one more slip going today, and it's got Josh Downs in it. But one more thing here before we go. We've got a little challenge this year. A little challenge. This is new to the Pigskin Pregame, and it's something that we're going to be following along all season. So this was something that popped up on Instagram last year that Caden pointed me in the direction of, and then we found it again this year. This is a little Vikings-related challenge. So how this works pretty much is, if the Vikings lose in a certain week, then during this portion of the show the following week, I will undergo this challenge. So for example, let's say the Vikings lose to the Bears on Monday night. That means next week at the end of the stream, I, Dr. Pigskin, will paint my nails. I don't know if I'm going to paint my nails until the next Vikings win. I mean, I might just like stay painted or whatever. But I will paint them Chicago Bears colors. If the Vikings lose to the Falcons, I'm swapping out this little coffee monstrosity for Diet Coke. Skyline Chili might be fun. Like, it's just fun little harmless challenges, right? And I cannot emphasize enough the one at the bottom for if they lose to the Packers. I have to do whatever the top comment is, and I cannot emphasize it. I mean, I'm not actually worried about this with you guys, but it must be legal and must not ruin my life. But this is just a little something extra this year that we're throwing in there. The Commanders one would be crazy, beyond just like the humiliation of like me saying, guys, the Commanders are bad, and then they lose. Reciting every U.S. president in order. Running 2 miles on stream would be crazy too, but I'd do that. I'd grab my phone and I'd go run around in my neighborhood without like doxing myself or something. The Bears one seems impossible. I don't know about that. Some of these are pretty doable. The Geddes one is crazy. And then the Green Bay total yards one, eliminating yards with cheese curds and spotted cow. Me when Jordan Love throws for 400 yards. No, I know. Like I saw, like the Domino's New York style pizza, I will say Michael got me right. Michael took me to some real New York pizza spots. And yeah, I mean, I like Domino's, but it's nothing. But unfortunately, that's what we're working with here in Atlanta, if you know what I'm saying. But that's the final thing that we've got. Just another little wrinkle, just another little challenge that I'll be doing. But that'll be more for next week, depending on if the Vikings win or lose. Oh, I would love to go back to New York sometime. We've got the Doty Boys Waffle House sesh. I got to pull up to New York too, and we got to get some pizza. Next time I'm in New York, man, I'll hit you up and we got to go get some real pizza. I would unironically love that. But that's all I've got, man. Appreciate you, Henry, for tuning in. Let's go. You have a great week 1 as well, but appreciate you guys all for tuning in. Sometimes some of you guys are getting up pretty early for this, but I genuinely love doing this so much, man. Football is so back. I mean, we are like 45 minutes away from the first games kicking off. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to be transporting my TV out into the living room. We're going to have a 3 TV setup. Going to be making some ramen for lunch. Going to be watching some football. And I'll see you guys again in just a few hours for Bills Ravens on Sunday nights. I'm going to give my voice a little bit of rest because I've been yapping a lot. But you guys enjoy the games. I'm going to finish this coffee and then sign off here. I've got a lot of stuff to do, but football's back, baby. Let's go. Let's go. All right. I appreciate you guys. You guys have a good week 1, and I'll see you all tomorrow.